Where you from?
Yeah. It's like it's 30 minutes from Charlottesville, you know, where all the white people were destroying shit like a couple of years ago. And then it's like 30 minutes from Richmond. So it's like right in between. People are like, yo, I want to live
crackers with their tiki torches.
Yeah. And they were like, yo, these are people that were out of towners. These are people, and for the most part, it was people that weren't from Charlottesville. But I saw some motherfuckers that were from Charlottesville, and I knew them. Like, there was one guy who worked at like a grocery store, and I had seen him like a lot. And I'm looking at the news, and he's one of the main ones holding the torches. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, I fucking know you. I was like, is that Kyle? I was like, yeah. I was like, yo, I know you. And there's another guy, because they had, before the whole like before that all that shit happened, they had a KKK rally before that. And one of my coworkers, I swear, went up there and stood with them.
God damn.
And my woman I work with, she was like, yo, she called me, she pulled me aside, she's like, do you see this shit? And I'm like, she's showing me her phone. I was like, yeah. I was like, they were up there. She's like, no, look, do you see this shit? And I'm like, she's like, yo, do you see that motherfucker right there? I was like, yo, that's not him.
That's what you did. I know that's not who I think it is. Like,
yeah, I know that. I was like, yo, I know that who I think it is. But
then you go back to where he is, and it's just like, this you? Like, again, like, it's two memes.
Exactly.
I know that's not who I think it is. This you? Like,
but for the most part, Charlottesville is really liberal for the most part. Like,
I remember
like they were like, yo, I remember one white guy was like holding a sign out there. He was like, that Charlottesville, that they voted for Democrats and shit like that. I had a white guy at my job told me like the shit from Get Out was like, I voted for Obama.
Yeah,
twice.
I was just about to say that. Like, he was like, you know, if
I'm like, bro, I'm like,
time if it was available.
I'm like, bro, what do you want from me? What are you hoping my response is? What is your long game in this?
He was just like sweating, like, I just got to get out of here. I just got to get out. Like,
I had one guy. I used to do like deliveries and stuff like that for a lumber company or whatever, and I'd be like the driver's helper or whatever. And I got out one time, and the guy was telling his story. And he was like, oh, and he was telling us this football story. He was like, and the guy was black, and he's like looking at me, and like, yeah, he was amazing. And it's like, I was like, that add to any? And it didn't add anything to the story. I'm like, this adds nothing to your story. Like, why?
You thought he was white, like, you know, just again, you know, in your head, if you were picturing, like. Wow.
In the end, it wasn't like, yo, he was black and then he got beat up after the game for being black. It was like, yo, he was just a great football player. And I'm like, wow, that's great.
Was he old?
Tom Brady should get his ass beat.
He was like, I think he looked to be in his 40s.
That's the thing, like people that are kind of old, I mean, at my old job where I would go and clean carpets, people like they would just kind of say stuff, and then most of the time they'd be old, and I'd just be like, it wouldn't always be. I mean, it wouldn't be like race. It'd be either like crazy shit, just like, okay. I'm just gonna hurry up and get out of here because one, I want to do that anyway, and two, like, I really want to do it now. Like,
and then there's the other side of the people who are like scared to like say black, white, or whatever. Like, I remember I had one customer I was dealing with one time, and I'm like, he was like, I talked to a salesperson that was here, and I'm like, okay, what did he look like? He was like, oh, you know, he was about mid-height, he was heavy set, and blah blah blah. I was like,
it's basically the scene from Super Bad when he was like, was he like us or
yeah, it was like that.
She's
and I was like
African American. He's like, oh yeah, we didn't want to say it, or like
exactly. And I'm like, bro, and I had to finally stop him because me and him are going back for like 2 or 3 minutes over this description. I'm like, was he black or was he white? Because that would really help me because we only had like one black salesman who was working the floor that day. I was like, is he black or is he white? He was like, yeah, he was black.
Color.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he made it even worse if he said that. Like,
Yeah, yeah. If you would have said like, yo, he was colored, I would have been like, yo, I wouldn't even got mad. I would just start laughing.
You know,
But,
he of the darker complexion and about 6'5". Like I think that dude is 5'9". That's how every white person sees a black man. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. Like, all right.
Like, I had a woman tell me my father was 6'2". My dad is 5'9", 5'10". I was like, he is not 6'2". Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He's taller. He's really tall. I'm like, no, he's not.
Did she see him like at a podium or like
no?
And she was sitting down. Like
no, it's just white older.
No,
white
I know. I'm just saying like
every
her
black person is like
yeah. No, I know. It's like her to be like no. I mean, to be fair, I was sitting down. You know,
and like
he looks taller.
And I'm like, there's no way he's 6'2". I'm like, because I was taller than my father by the time I was 14 years old.
Damn. Okay, Dominic. All right, Dominic Mysterio.
I'm like that. I'm like, bruh.
Looking at your dad, like, wait a minute.
The real son of Mysterio.
Make this make sense.
Like, I was like, bruh. I was like, there's no fucking way that he's 6'2".
But Banks versus Davis. Let me intro the show. You heard the voice. I said it earlier in the week when we were on his show when me, Fam, Cal, Black Wrestling were on Public Enemies. That Banks and I were going to have Son of Mars, TikTok sensation.
Thank you.
The Public Enemies. I mean, really Graham as well, but I mean, the Twitter feed, you see it. You see the Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, LaMelo Ball, Alonzo Ball tweet. You see all the other tweets. Heel Turn Haden
stole that shit too.
Yeah. AKA Ben. We've been meaning to have him on for a while. I remember I hit him up back in February after Public Enemies and Black Wrestling collaborated the first time this year and said, like, hey, as the fourth members of the pod, you know, the people who snuck their way on.
It really felt like that.
We got to stick together. You know, that we're already MSK. Banks is actually Trey Miguel to our Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz. So I guess we're really the Razcalz.
Relax. Because didn't he say some, questionable things?
I think you haven't said questionable things?
No, but his questionable things, comes with a certain chip that Dr. Umar talks about, if I'm not mistaken.
What did it? No. What did Trey Miguel say?
I think he said something along the lines of going against the Black Lives Matter movement. If I'm not mistaken, I can look it up.
So he's like Daniel Caesar.
Well, Daniel Caesar was just simping. That's why he motivated. He won't admit it.
Like, bruh. And he said this shit. He was like, man, y'all make me go broke. Y'all, I don't care. I was like, you don't want to say that. And it wasn't like they were coming at him in a harsh way. It was like his fans were like, yo, you need to chill. And he goes ape shit. Because I didn't even know that. I didn't see that shit when it went down. Like, I remember he came out with his last album, Entropy, or whatever the fuck it was called. And it sold like maybe 1,000 copies in its first month. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, what happened?
Get him to the Greek. Have you ever seen him? Have you ever seen that?
I've seen clips from it.
Okay, there's a scene where they're sitting at a meeting with Diddy's character, and like he asks him like, "Who did you represent?" And then Jake, the character that Jake Johnson plays, like Chocolate Daddy, he's like, "How many units did he sell?" It's like 1,000 units or 100 units, and he's like, "Exactly." So shut up. He's like, "I'm proud of those units." Still proud of them. Like it flopped, but he was like, he stood his ground.
And like and I was like, well, what happened? And a coworker of mine who was like into Daniel Caesar too, he was like, you didn't know? And I was like, what?
Oh,
was like,
you didn't know?
Yeah, that immediately goes through my head when somebody says that. Even fuck Road Dogg, but
yeah, for real. If we ever do a convo about most overrated, he's up there.
Oh my god, yes, 100%. Because
I mean, besides being a culture vulture, but legit, like he couldn't wrestle. He couldn't. I can never. His ass was just like, "Your ass better call somebody," and then doing like the elbow thing and all that. All right, come on, get out of here.
Like, bruh, if Triple H hadn't picked you up after you started attaching your character to black culture and shit like that, you wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Your brother probably would have been more well known than you, and he's a referee. Exactly. I can never trust. I always say this. I say this to my wife. I say this to all my family members. I say this to friends and everything like that. I'm like, I can never trust a white man with dreads.
No, that's legit.
Never. It's always some weird, like either you're making like ecstasy in your basement, or you're like on that time that Road Dogg is on. Like, yeah, I'm just using this shit to get over. Because I'm like, he's one of, I think he's the guy that Shawn Michaels was backstage, like getting to an argument with about like that systematic racism is real.
Oh, in the report about last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
like, he was on that too.
Michaels, was coming to the defense. Like, are you that dumb? Like,
and he was like against like the masks and shit like that. He was like, oh, y'all need to wear masks. COVID isn't real, blah, blah, blah. And you had to have the Hurricane get on Twitter and sun you on Twitter for you to be like, you know what? I need to get off this shit.
You said the Hurricane too. Gregory Helms got to sun you. Something is bad.
Like, bruh. And then even in TNA, he was on the same bullshit. Like, I forget who posted the clip of it. But
yeah,
he was
I was just about to say that because you guys didn't post it. Someone else did where he asked Ron Killings about the fried chicken. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And isn't Ron Killings supposed to be like his guy?
Yeah, I think they had gotten to like they had a rivalry one point in TNA.
No, I know, but I'm just saying like they were cake quick.
Yeah.
Like bro, hey man, I know we're buddy in real life. I got this idea for an angle. Like, when did you be like, the fuck?
This and the way that did you hear the story how he came across him, right? How Road Dogg came across R-Truth? This shit sounds super predatory.
Uh-oh.
He was like, he saw him doing like the rapping. He knew that he was a rapper, whatever. And he was like, I could have him come. I do like sort of a rapper gimmick. I could have him come out with me and do some shit like that. And he, like, the way that he brought him out, I know like R-Truth is thankful to him for putting him on and everything, but that shit sounded like super predatory.
Oh no, it's a culture thing. He was like, all right, I'm losing some steam. I need someone to come like fresh this up, rejuvenate the Road Dogg thing. I'm not with Billy Gunn, so I can't do that. You're asked to call someone. That I got to stay in that realm because one, that's what was working. I can't go back to being white, Brian James. That's not gonna fucking take off.
I think it was SummerSlam 2000 in '99. He had a match on SummerSlam, and I think 2 years like before that, and then like the next year he's doing like a whole like talk like promo segment with Chris Jericho. Like, he was falling off.
Yeah, the story is that Banks, do you know about this? That the night of the last Nitro, he was there backstage trying to get a job.
Yeah, I knew about that already.
I heard that on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, he already been let go by WWE, and he showed up to Nitro on the last ever episode trying to get a job. Within that night, they announced that WWE just bought it, WWF, and he was probably just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like,
Yo, you think he's trying to get him to ghost right for him? Road Dogg, he was trying to hit R-Truth up to ghost right for him.
Bro, I've never been anywhere at any time and heard somebody say, yo, turn up that R-Truth. Never in my life.
Yeah, no, you definitely got to listen to that like on MySpace. I don't know where you got that's not no Apple Music.
I looked it up on Apple Music. I was like, I was like, I have never listened to any of his music. Let me just give it a chance. And I went to search his name, and all I saw was like, oh, his theme song. And I was like, kept scrolling, and it was like, this is it. I was like, I'm not going out of my way listening to this whole album on YouTube or any shit like that. I know it wasn't on YouTube. It was on World Star.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I remember it being somewhere else. Yeah, it was. God,
on World Star. He was like the height of his career, the height of his like rap career. It's like, oh, I got a song with featuring John Cena, and I'm like, okay.
In what decade? This past decade?
Like, no.
Wasn't it like 2 years ago?
It was like 2 years ago. He was like, oh, I got a song with R-Truth. I mean, no, not John Cena didn't even promote that shit. It was R-Truth like, oh, I got a song with John Cena. That they recorded in 2002.
Like that's when they recorded that shit. Ain't no way.
Nah, I mean, again, if you ever saw that behind the scenes of John Cena making the songs for 2K, he legit shows up in like a V-neck that's again painted onto his skin, cargo shorts, and like the white guy slip-on shoes, and he's legit like on his phone writing rhymes. And I'm like, God damn, like this looks bad, but again, this guy has a platinum plaque, like he's the GOAT. First
exactly.
of all, but it's the thing where like you were out of the game and like, all right, let me try to hop back in. But he's definitely like he should have thrown on a throwback or something at least for if they were going to document it. Like, don't look like you're just like they asked me to do it. I said might as well.
That John Cena album drop, I bought that. I was like, oh my god! No.
Oh yeah, of course. I made my dad get it for me, and we played it in the car like all the time.
You know, I went back and I listened to that album like maybe like 3 months ago. I was like, yo, it's good for like nostalgic reasons. If this album dropped tomorrow for the first time, I probably wouldn't buy it or download it. But for the sake of nostalgia, I was like, oh, I like it.
What were you gonna say, Banks?
Oh, all I was about to say is we need the new best of both worlds without the problematic shit and just have R-Truth and John Cena be on the Oh, it'll be more so like Watch the Throne because nobody's singing. So we need that new Watch the Throne.
I mean, who could do it now? Leo Rush and who could?
No.
Chris Bay's music is actually pretty good. I've listened to his stuff.
Yeah, no, he's dope.
He's actually good.
All right, so Chris Bay and Leo Rush. There we go.
No.
Leo Rush got one song I fuck with.
Name the song.
Of it,
Banks is like,
yo, let me
again. I don't say Cap, but Banks is like Cap.
Okay, man.
Right. say this song. Y'all try to get Math to listen to that shit then. When he running 100 miles a day, try to get him to listen to that shit.
I be looking at his Twitter and I'm like, God damn, this man stay running.
Hey,
I don't even know.
He doesn't run from the grind.
I can't even find it. It's not even on Apple Music anymore. It's not even on Apple Music. I think it's called I Wonder.
Apple Music said, take this shit to SoundCloud, big fella. This shit my father here, bro. It definitely ain't on Tidal either, so I ain't gonna even try to look.
I mean, and that's the shitty thing.
Yeah.
All of us
I think
are
back
fans
on
of.
there. His name
Leo
is Leo Rush on there. His name on there is Leo.
It's Lionel Green, right?
His name on there is just Leo.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's why you had to really look for it.
Yeah, I looked up Leo Rush and like his theme song in WWE came up by like CFO, and I'm like, bruh, this is not making you look good.
Lashley, that should be the name of the song. If he was just saying that, I'd buy the song. If he was just doing that, I ain't listen to that shit.
I haven't bought an album since I actually spent money on an album since I bought I think it was Igor on vinyl.
That's a good vinyl album to have. Davis has no idea what you're talking about.
I don't listen to Tyler the Creator. I don't fuck with Tyler the Creator. No.
Oh my god, for real? Is it
he
because
music?
No, his whole thing. Yeah, I just never was a fan. Like when they were first coming on, I'm like, who listens to this shit? This shit sounds fucking horrible.
And at the beginning, this is the game plan the whole time to get him to a Grammy. So in the beginning, he was doing all this weird shit and all this outlandish shit and saying all this like off the wall shit. So you would pay attention to him, so you would notice him. Sort of like
again,
this
but
shit
I don't like shit.
But
I don't like shit like that either. I don't like I'm gonna watch this hand when the other hand's gonna really show you what's going on.
Over the years, he's been filtering more into like what his actual style is. Like what is it? What is the album for Igor? It's Flower Boy or whatever.
Yeah,
he's not yelling at you and doing all the weird shit that he was doing before. It's more so like, yo, I'm not that guy. I'm trying to actually get my shit on the radio. And Igor was singing on most of the tracks because he wanted to get a Grammy. And
that's what I mean. I was kind of going to bring this up in a way I like when people do one thing to get notoriety, when they have an ultimate goal of something else. Like, do you guys watch Dave by chance? Because I don't, but I know like I think Lil Dicky said like his like,
but I heard it's good.
Banks, you watch it, right?
Yeah, during the quarantine, I watched season 1. Am I gonna watch season 2? Hell no. I just watched 1 because I had nothing else to do but do push-ups outside.
Yo, I appreciate the honesty. I
think his whole. Oh no, go ahead, Banks.
My fault. So I know probably a lot of people don't listen to the shit I say just because I'll be saying stuff. Have y'all not noticed, if anybody that listens to this or anything I do, any podcast I do or anything in general, have y'all not noticed how honest I am? I don't give a damn. I ain't got nothing to hide, bro. I was in the quarantine. I was in the quarantine, depressed as hell, in a different state, watching that with no Wi-Fi. What the fuck else was I watching? I watched that movie. What's that movie? Dave, 1917 or whatever. That war.
Oh, movie. The War by Sam Mendes.
Yeah, I was watching that on the iPhone, bro. I had no Wi-Fi.
Damn, bro.
I was going through it, bro. I was in the trenches.
Banks is watching a movie that is legit supposed to be. God damn.
17-year-old me feel you, bro.
Yeah, I know. It's like I mean, when I first got an iPhone, I never had an iPhone before. I would watch like Netflix on there all the time. But then my dad would be like, "How could you do that?" I'm like, "I have an iPhone now. Like I've never had one before. Like I'm gonna get all the use out of this." But then after a while, I was like, "I can't keep doing this shit."
The only reason I did that is because, like I said before, like I lived in the middle of fucking nowhere. Yeah. So I'm depending on the signal that I'm getting from like the cell phone tower or whatever. And it's like the signal is pretty good. So it's not like I can hook this shit up to my TV. If I want to watch Netflix or Hulu or a movie online or some shit like that on a streaming service, I have to watch that shit on my phone. And I cringe thinking back to that shit. And my wife picking out houses and shit like that, I would always be like, "Yo, can you get Comcast? Can you get like some type of Wi-Fi out there?"
Look at this man bragging as a wife.
And if she said no, if she says like, "Yo," big facts. He's like, "Yo," but if she said no, it doesn't have it, I'd be like, "There's no fucking way there's no fucking way live there. I'm not going back to that shit."
Yeah. No, again, you're like Roderick Strong in the Trailer Park. Can't go back.
Exactly.
Wait, he's from the Trailer Park?
Yeah, you don't remember when he debuted on NXT? It was like he grew up in the trailer parks in Tampa.
No. Oh my God!
He for real did.
Like, yeah,
he did,
it was a shoot.
Somebody's podcast, and he was like, I think he did like Edge and Christian's podcast, like maybe a couple of years ago, around the time he had first got signed. And have you listened to their podcast before?
I've listened to a few of their episodes. It was actually pretty good. The ones I would listen to, like they had their chemistry, obviously, because they were a great tag team. But like also like them just conversating was good.
Yeah, I actually like that podcast. But he said it on there. He was like, "Yeah, I grew up in a trailer park. I didn't have any friends, and I had like a ring in my backyard." I was like, I'm like, that ring isn't your. I mean, like that backyard isn't your backyard. It's somebody's front yard. But go on.
Right.
But he was like, yeah, he's like, I would see kids and I would ask them if they wanted to wrestle or whatever. I'm like, I wouldn't have been friends with you either.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say that out loud, big fella, too, Roger.
You invite me back to your house to wrestle, I'm gonna be like, yo.
But again, I forget what his real name is because he said like he was tagging with a guy. He's like, "Your name is Cedric. I'll be Roderick," like as a way for them to like team up, because I won't look what his real name is, but like his real name isn't Roderick. It's like, who would like Christopher Lindsay? That's his name.
Yeah, he's definitely from the trailer park.
But again, back to my point about Dave is like the whole point. I think like Little Dicky, like he wanted to be like a comedian. He wanted like to be on a show, but like he found this way into rap first, and then he gets acclaim by like the internet. Like I'm not fucking with him. I've never heard a Little Dicky song, but like I know he has niche fan base, which is like girls and white guys.
Oh yeah, sure.
But then like FX makes Atlanta. They're like, all right, let's get the white version of this, and they get him, and it's like he gets to like live out his dream, like being a comedian, TV star, or like because again, like I know his raps are mainly just like comedy raps. It's like not meant to be taken seriously about him having bars. It's just like getting these jokes off and all that. But thinking he faked us out, and then like just like how like Eva Marie was trying to do WWE. Like I don't want to be a wrestler, but I see that Dwayne. No, but like, literally, like, I see that Dwayne Johnson came from wrestling, and he's a movie star. Maybe that can work for me, and that was what happens everywhere.
That's the shit that always set me off with her, because I didn't even know she was MAGA until she returned this year, because I totally missed the her shit where she was like, oh, you know, fuck Colin Kaepernick or whatever. I just knew she was a very shitty person when I watched Total Divas, and like the shit that she would say, she was like, oh no, I don't really know shit about wrestling. And like, again, like I've said this, you don't have to know shit about wrestling to be a wrestler.
The whole situation with the writer this week and the bullshit backlash and all that. Again, like if anyone's ever watched wrestling, but if you ever watch wrestling, you can tell that like people that write this shit don't know shit about wrestling because it's soap opera storylines. Again, they had a guy whose legit son was not his son, and it was his best friend's son, and they had a ladder match for custody. Like, come on.
They brought in like. They used to bring in writers to write the show. And on top of that, Freddie Prinze Jr. even said it when he did he would do like he does like podcasts here and there about when he was in WWE. He was like, they don't hire. He's like, they don't hire fans to write the show. And in a way, that's good, because you're not trying to keep those guys fans, because like you already got them locked in for the rest of their lives as wrestling fans. You're gonna want to go out. You're gonna want to get a guy that's like not watching wrestling. Like, oh, I've never seen it. I've heard of it, but I've never like actually sat down and watched it. That's the person you want to bring in, because when Bad Bunny was on Raw and shit like that, the numbers for like their social media, the numbers for their YouTube, their all that shit shot up.
Yeah, he's the closest thing you can say as to a modern day draw in terms of like that isn't ratings on TV. Like real shit. I even have people who I work with who don't watch wrestling, who are like, oh, it's that fake shit or whatever. And they even he was like, a movie or a TV show? Like, isn't that fake shit?
Absolutely. I have had these debates with people at my job. I was like, oh, you know, wrestling is fake, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, I know this guy likes Star Wars. I know he likes, you know, all these sci-fi shit. I'm like, you get up in the theater when you're watching a movie and you let everyone in the theater know this shit is fake. I was like, well, no. I was like, bro, I know this shit is not real. I've been watching wrestling my entire life. I know this shit is not real. I don't need you fucking telling me this shit every 5 minutes. I know.
Thanks. What was the first time you found out, like, legit, or did you know from the start? Because it's a good kind of topic to talk about at the moment.
Oh, you talking about when it was at work? When I found out wrestling was at work?
Yeah, when you found out, it wasn't real.
When my mom took me to go watch Beyond the Mat.
Oh shit! Your mom was like, "Yo, look, Tooth Fairy isn't real. Santa isn't real. The government is watching us,
bro." And this shit you love, it ain't.
This shit you love with your entire heart. It is not real.
Let me tell y'all something. Here's when the honesty come out too much. My mom is from South Central Los Angeles and had me young. You think she give a fuck about the stuff I was watching and playing on Super Nintendo? Absolutely not. Like Mortal Kombat was PG compared to what we was growing up around. All right, especially her era.
My parents were on that time too. My dad was like, "Yo, there is no Santa Claus. There is no Tooth Fairy. All that shit. Like, yo, you get the presents from me." He was like very much on that time. So when wrestling came around, he was like, "Yeah, that shit ain't real either. Enjoy."
Yeah. I like that though. Like, man,
I feel for y'all because my parents, at least, they went with it. Like, because my dad was a fan. So
my parents wasn't like. That's probably it. When I first started watching wrestling, I already said it like earlier on the show. I was like, my dad is a doctor. He's also a preacher too. So
yeah, when you said that, I was like, damn, Ben, like your dad.
So yeah, so like he was like on that time of like, yo, I'm not gonna withhold the truth from you or whatever. But he was also very like strict in what we watched and and things like that. He didn't give a damn about, when I got a cell phone, he didn't give a damn about checking that, which is one thing that he fell off with. But when it came to like watching like wrestling and shit like that, he'd be like, you can't watch. He's like, yo, I don't want you watching that. Like, and like some of the times when I was like, maybe I forget how old I was when the Edge and Lita shit happened. I didn't watch wrestling. I didn't watch wrestling for 2 years after that. Because my mom was like, nope. What? Yeah, my mom was like, yo, do you know what she's like, yo, Charles, you know what he's in here watching?
Charles. I just think of X-Men when he Charles
Haden.
She's like, yo.
Hey, whoa.
He's like, yo, you know what he's in she's like, you know what he's in here watching? And I'm like, I didn't even know I didn't even know what's going on.
Yeah, I was about to say like that same thing. Like, all right, because my mom was the one who like didn't want me watching it, and then my dad's like, you know, when you're over here, different set of rules. Like, I don't care. Like, and then like I get the magazines. I remember I had a Raw magazine where Edge and Lita were on it, and like Lita had like legit cleavage shown, and a neighbor came over, saw the magazine, and she looked at my grandma, was like, "You let him read this?" And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, I'm 11 years old, but I mean, I could kind of know what was going on because I remember like when ECW started on Sci-Fi, like the Kelly expose, I was like, wait, this woman's gonna get naked? And then she did. I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like, but again, I'm 11 years old.
Facts.
That's what I think. That's what I told you. I was like a deviant from like a young age, like because wrestling like turned me into it. It was like, wait, you mean to tell me right now this woman is gonna take off her clothes on TV?
When I was a shorty and I saw Trish Stratus, I knew something was going on, but I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, but you don't know.
Yeah, I was like, something
like
is going on.
About what he said about the Lita thing, like, wait, life's like sex celebration, like, but what does that actually mean? I'm like,
yeah, I was like, bro, so
forced celebration too. Doing? Remember, she said that Vince says you gotta do this or you fired.
No, that's behind the scenes. But I'm just mean like when you see it, like the segment happening on here, I'm like, okay, I see what's going on, but I'm not comprehending what's going on. Like,
I know at that point I did definitely because I was 17.
Oh yeah, because and the funniest thing about that is the Ric Flair like, Edge, you are dead in the bed. Lita, come on, honey, we're gonna get it on. As he walks down the aisle, and she's like, no, and he's all.
And he's like still trying to press himself on her.
Yeah. Well, Ric Flair from 04 to 06. Banks and I talked about before. Him tagging of Eugene in that match. His reaction was just like,
that character. Like now, that character was released today. Oh my god!
But see, that's what we mean. We're like the soap opera writers. Like, what happens if there was a special needs wrestler? Like, what happens if there was a Rico, a gay wrestler? Or I mean, that's always been around, but really in
he was flamboyant. Yeah, I don't think he. I know what they was alluding to, but more so Chuck Palumbo. It was that.
Yeah, Billy and Chuck.
Billy and Chuck.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
started
watching. I came back into wrestling like around 2007, 2006 ish when Edge was in his rivalry with The Undertaker. That's when I came back in. And my dad was still like on that time of like, yo, I don't want you watching this shit. And I'm like, yo, fuck you. I'm gonna go watch this shit somewhere else.
That's mainly because it's late 07.
I'm like, we have 3 TVs. Fuck you. I'm gonna watch this shit in the room you're not in.
We didn't say fuck you. You're like, yes, sir.
I'm like
Michael Cole and Vince McMahon. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Yes,
that man said we had 3 TVs. Damn, bro, you grew up proper.
No, bro. The TVs, these were small ass TVs.
I was about to say these were TVs that had the back, right?
Yeah, it was the fat TV with the TV with the fat back, and it's like 19 inches, and I have to sit up like 2 inches away from the TV if I want to see what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The big screen, as they used to call it. That's how I was able to see the Super Bowl in '95 when I was little.
Oh my god!
But see, that's like the thing about like being a wrestling fan young and like being so into it, and then you have a parent that's like, nah, because like I said, my dad, all right, like again, he would DVR the shows, but like I'd only see him on the weekends. So like
See, I didn't have DVR.
All week, I'm like, I'm wondering on Raw. Like, but when I would play Little League, my dad would be like, "Hey, guess what happened on Raw last night?" Like, tell me. Like, John Cena got drafted to Raw. I was like, "What?" Because my mom wasn't letting me watch that shit.
If I missed an episode back then, I missed the episode. I never saw it again. So when I was like 7, 8 years old watching that shit, if I missed an episode, I would like get like really like upset, and I'll get really sad. I'm like, yo, I bet whatever episode, whatever's going on in SmackDown or Raw, like, I bet that shit was amazing. And then you see the Raw recap where they like cut out all the boring shit and they just have like the highlights and shit like that. I'm like, that episode was amazing. And then like I decided to go back when the network came out and watch all the episodes that I missed. And I'm like, this shit it's not good.
That man said 7 or 8 years old. God damn, I'm old.
You're saying Ruthless Aggression Era isn't good?
No, it'd be like a random episode from SmackDown or Raw that I missed, and I'm like, bro, this shit isn't good enough for me to be upset over.
Oh, you mean
it's literally the same? Like, it's literally the same shit that happens the next week.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing too. Like your child mindset of like, what's the end of the world as a kid is like doesn't even compare to like you as an adult. Like, really, yeah. I was upset about this. So
but Ruthless Aggression Era is in my mind king.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The Attitude Era, like I always hear, but like I hate when someone who used to be a wrestling fan comes up to me and like, "Oh, you watch a wrestling shirt or whatever," and they're like, "Oh, you watch wrestling, blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah," I'm like, I like it. I've watched it my entire life, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I used to watch during the Attitude Era. That was amazing. I don't watch it now because right now it's like really trash. But I love the Attitude Era," and I always put them on the spot. I'm like, outside of the 5 top wrestlers, what was your favorite thing about the Attitude Era? And it always draws a blank. I'm like, because did you like the oddities? Did you like when Kai and Tai was chopping off Val Venus's dick? Did you like?
Thanks, love that.
Hey, no, chill out.
Looking back, that shit is funny.
Banks is like castration. Sign me the fuck up. All right.
Hey, I don't know what type of person you've been knowing me a little while. I don't know. I ain't no type of one of them freaks. All right, you need to relax.
You sick freak.
Yeah, nah, we don't get down with that. Chopping another man's, you know what I mean? Shit off. We don't do that.
You're not into Lorena Bobbitt and shit like that.
Why would I be into that? That's the funny thing. See, Davis be on that bullshit. Why would I, being me, be into some weird shit?
Because like you know what you've said.
I never said nothing about a man getting his shit chopped off. That's some weirdo freak shit. Like I don't even. I don't think about a man's scrotum. What the fuck, bro?
The guy who got his dick chopped off, Lorena Bobbitt chopped it off, whatever. They made a joke about it on Raw. King made a joke about it or whatever. He tried to sue WWE.
Yeah, I remember that.
I do remember that. Because he a pastor. Yo, they're joking about me. I'm like, there's no way I'm joining your church and you got your dick chopped off. There's no way. That's always gonna be in my mind. You're gonna be praying for me, and I'm like, this guy got his dick chopped off. I'm like, yeah, for real. I'm like, yo, man. I feel bad for you. There's no way I can have you leave me.
It's like because I just listened to that Martin Lawrence about boxing stand up where he's like, what do you say after your man gets knocked out? Like, damn, did he when he hit you, was it as hard as it looked? Like, damn, like
I've just like every time I've gotten my ass beat in a fight over the years, it's never like, oh man, you'll get him next time, or any good things are said after the fight. It's always like, damn, nigga, you got your ass knocked out. Like, bruh, it is just like that.
It's like, but you're like, yeah, no shit, I'm bleeding from the mouth. Like, come on.
I'm like, yo, where the fuck were? And every time I've gotten beaten up, I'm like, yo, where the fuck were you?
I was about to say,
I wanted to keep things fair. Like one nigga told me that shit. I was like, man, fuck you.
You did the fucking super bad. Like, where were you back there? Fucking Judas? Like,
for real? I'm like, bro. I'm like, you see this motherfucker fucking me up because I back then like I had no concept of when to fucking stop. So if I was fucking with somebody, I wasn't able to read. I wasn't able to read like, oh, is this guy gonna like? This guy's not gonna beat me up. Oh, he's not gonna hit me. It was shit like I couldn't read that. So I would fuck with somebody, and I keep fucking with him. And I couldn't read the signs. And I'm like, and next thing I know, I'm like getting folded. And I'm like, damn.
So your whole life was like record scratch. Like, whoop.
Yeah.
Wonder how I end up here.
I've won like a fair share of fights that I've been in. But a lot of those fights, I probably could have just avoided had I just shut the fuck up. I'm not going to lie. I would get carried away because there'd be a crowd around, and I'd be like, yo, man, I'd be talking like big shit.
Man, see, this is why it's from watching the 07 Edge. That's all he would do is like talk shit and then get his ass kicked. So like 07, 08 Edge be like, I'm better than the Undertaker. Undertaker last riots him through two tables. Like,
I hate that match too to this day, bro. That shit boring as hell.
The TLC match?
All the matches they had, the one at WrestleMania was boring as hell to me.
No, they actually kind of had good chemistry,
bro.
This is here you go with the Christian match. This is here you go with the Christian.
Exactly. There we go. Exactly. Just like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels conversation. It's the same thing, bro. I don't give a damn about Edge. I don't care about the Edge match. Like, all right, so it's Roman Reigns. All right, the best worker out right now, the best thing in pro wrestling. Period.
Facts.
I don't want to see him.
Think that was debatable. But I agree.
All right, you go ahead. Say who's better than Roman Reigns. Go ahead.
No, I said like
if you say Kenny Omega, bro.
No, hell no.
I wouldn't podcast with him anymore.
No. I said
okay.
Finn Balor was doing the exact same thing first, and then Roman Reigns comes back on that same time. Like I'm not saying like Finn Balor invented it, but they were doing the exact same thing in terms of like
I got my head
talking shit and beating everyone's ass. Like it was, and then Io Shirai was doing it as NXT Women's Champion. I think all three of them. I mean, even though you don't see Finn Balor right now, and Io Shirai because she took the last month off. So I would agree that Roman Reigns is now. But in the last year and a half, I had ranked Io Shirai, Finn Balor, then Roman Reigns in terms of the best wrestlers in the world. And Sasha Banks up there as well.
I'm not mad at that. It's just I get like pissed off. People like, Kenny Omega is like leaps and bounds. No. They're like, he's leaps and bounds better than Roman. You just gotta watch the show. And like this guy explained it. He was like, you gotta watch the show. You gotta watch AEW Dark, and you gotta watch Being the Elite. I've never seen an episode of Being the Elite because I love myself, but he's like, you gotta watch all this shit so you can understand. So you can understand this character. And I'm like, I'm not doing homework so I can understand him the one time a week that I actually watch him. I'm like, I'm not doing that shit. It's too much work.
To be fair, when the whole build up to All In was going on, Being in the Elite was really good. They're because again they use that to build the show, like the skits and all that.
The stuff with Mr. Brody, that shit was pretty good too. Like I
never watched any of that. And again, I was already out when AEW had started. I stopped watching Being the Elite, but when it was just them and Ring of Honor, New Japan, and their adventures, that was pretty good. When it was just
I heard that was good.
Yeah,
and I meant to watch it around that time, but again, I was like, I don't really feel like watching.
And funny enough,
another show.
It made me like Adam Cole because I hate Adam Cole because he was just such a good heel. But like when you see him on that show, like as a normal guy, like this guy's pretty cool.
Then I loved Adam Cole when he was doing his thing in Ring of Honor and shit like that. Like I would always tell people, I'm like, this guy is like. He's gonna be he's gonna be like the second coming of Shawn Michaels.
I think that's why I hated him so much because he could actually wrestle. But I'm like, God, this guy's such an asshole. He's like such a good heel, but I was legit like, I hate this guy. But then on Being Elite, he's like such a nice guy around all of them. Like, man. And then he also had two good podcasts of Colt Cabana, where one he told the story about like how he got into wrestling, where he was like, I'm on a date.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah, it was like I'm on a date with a girl and I'm watching No Way Out 2006, and I've seen this Randy Orton Rey Mysterio match like 20 times, but I'm not paying attention to this girl because I'm watching the match. And then when there was him and because him and Chuck Taylor had good comedy with each other, where Chuck Taylor would be like, "Yeah, Adam Cole's a real piece of shit." But yeah, that's always the funny thing. Like when you don't like a wrestler and then you find that either something about them or like their real personality. Like well,
I used to hate The Miz.
I still hate
I hated him. Thanks. And then I saw his work ethic that he put into the
work ethic. Come on,
let's talk about it. That's why I was talking shit. That's why I have my mic on mute. Go ahead, talk your shit, David, so I can jump in.
No, you come in right now. Come on.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ben. Keep saying that real shit.
No.
Like I want you to look at my face,
he
Davis.
knew, like in the beginning, he knew he was ass. He knew, and he couldn't cut a promo. He knew he couldn't do it. So he was like, "Yo, I need to work on my shit." He was able to point at himself and be like, "Yo, I know I'm ass. Let me try to get better. Let me try to do more reps. Let me get into this." His in-ring work is. I'm not gonna say that I am like that big of a fan of his in-ring style, but the character work and the promos and everything like that, I appreciate it.
No, it's still terrible to this day. Because one, the whole like must see WWE champion, I'm the Miz, like shut up. We get you wanted to be Ryan Seacrest. We get it. And you couldn't. So just shut the fuck up.
He can now. But he chose otherwise.
No.
He still he stayed with
because he can't do anything else. Again, they gave him the show of his wife because one, look at his wife. They wouldn't give him that show by himself. They're like, with her, okay, we'll give you a show. The guy from the Real just can't have a show. But then again, him in the ring still terrible. He can't catch anyone to save his life. When he was mocking Daniel Bryan with those shitty yes kicks, and then everyone's like, "This man should play Johnny Cage." You are out of your fucking mind. This man couldn't throw a kick to save his fucking life. I know when you posted that, I was like, Ben, I hate your fucking guts right now. You were championing that shit.
I think I was the first person to say it.
Yeah.
And then and then one of the guys actually that has like more that like has pool with Mortal Kombat was like, yo, was saying the same thing like that. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm into it.
No, again, because
I've never seen. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna cap. I've never seen a Miz movie.
Oh, neither have I. But again, no one has, and no one should because he's a terrible actor.
Yeah. I've never seen Marine 1 through 20. I've seen the first Marine movie. I've seen the first one, John.
Oh yeah, of course, because the goat's in it, and he's John Triton. Come on. But no, again, the Miz, he like that's thing. Like in 2014, it's like Martin Scorsese is calling me to do his movie. Like, you are out of your goddamn mind. I know that's what you say to get people. Like, you must be smoking crack if you're like Martin Scorsese is asking you to do his movie. He got Action Bronson in a movie for like 2 minutes. No way he's gonna get some guy who, again, looks like he models Abercrombie and Fitch.
He's in good shape now, though. He lost weight.
Who?
The Miz.
The Miz. He lost a lot of weight, apparently.
He's never been in that shape.
He's never been.
I know the whole thing with that John Morton.
Shape.
I know the whole thing was like when him and Morrison first started feuding after they broke up. Miz was like, "You're husky," like he would say. I'm like, this guy is not in bad shape. I don't understand. It's like the Piggy James. Like, this doesn't make sense. Like if you see,
I remember that shit. I remember that shit. I mean, like that shit was like. I was like, bro.
Between the three of them, Layla, Michelle McCool, Mickey James, it's gonna go Layla, Mickey James, Michelle McCool, all the way at the bottom of the earth. I mean,
yeah. Pretty much. And I don't know what you're talking about. I'm actually a cool fan, but like what you're saying is correct.
Yeah. And again, that's why I also hated that's why I also hate the Undertaker when he came back on that bush like you're mad because she does the Faith Breaker better than you. Like you old fuck, you probably have CTE going crazy right now for capping like that. This man does the style splash off the top rope.
The Faith Breaker was not a good finisher.
No, she's like, okay, leg here, and go.
Like it was always like she looked like she was doing her absolute most. Like she was like doing the most, try to get that person in there. It's like, oh, are you in there? Are you in there?
That's what I mean. She's legit like, okay, and move a little bit, move, and then like I said, AJ Styles catches Kota Ibushi in a Phoenix Splash. And then does a fucking style clash. Like you, come on. See, that's what I mean.
Whose neck did he break with that one?
Yoshitatsu. That's Yoshitatsu's fault for being a bad worker as well.
That's his what?
His fault for being a bad worker.
That's his fault.
Yeah, because he didn't tuck his head. He did it like
the James Ellsworth shit.
Yeah. No, it's like how they said it with like Homicide, how he does the Gringo Killer, like you have to put your head down already as soon as he drops you. You can't have it like dangling and then drop. That's how like necks get broken. That's why you shouldn't trust anyone. Like when Cody Rhodes does that shit, like you gotta pray to God that when he puts you in that like
you gotta pray all the gods.
Yeah.
You gotta
every time it does, I'm like,
you gotta put in a group chat.
It's like you're not gonna eclipse a 3.5-star match. Why are you trying this move?
And again, I like Cody Rhodes.
Oh, okay.
But I don't like this shit. No. Let me explain. I like Cody Rhodes pre-AEW. And I like one match that he did in AEW, and that's the shit with Dustin Rhodes. But I like
even that shit was terrible.
They got like the first AEW pay-per-view, I fell for it. I'm not gonna lie.
I spent money on it, and I'm like, never again.
I said that after. I was like, I'm never buying an AEW pay-per-view again. The only reason I've been to AEW shows because they don't do any WWE shows in Virginia anymore. Like talking about it. I'm not driving 4 hours to Hampton to watch a SmackDown on a fucking. This is back when it was on Tuesday, on a fucking Tuesday, and then drive all the way back home. Like, no fucking way. Like, that's the only reason I've been to 2 shows.
Thanks. Defend the Miz, because you were now. I said it. Say it now. Say your piece. Defend this fucking bum. It's like him and Jinder Mahal for worst WWE champions. It's like neck and neck.
All right, bro, chill the fuck out. Ultimate Warrior is right there.
Psycho Sid, Jack Swagger.
I'm talking about modern day. No, that's World Heavyweight Champion. I'm talking WWE Champion, and mainly since 2000. No, defend the Miz, Banks. Come on, quit hiding. You said you wanted to be on camera.
No. I'm trying. You know, I got AOL internet too, so I'm trying to make sure everything is stable.
Yeah, you got the disc.
So it's like, yeah. So I'm trying to make sure on my AOL 9 cable, everything works out perfect. So that's why I go in and out camera so it doesn't lag too much. No, the Miz got better, just like Ben said. The promos are still the same, but it's still good for the most part. Like I don't know exactly what else you want. Like what Kwame Brown said, motherfucker, are you not entertained? Did you see the screens I was saying?
Kwame Brown said that.
Okay, you want to smoke with him? I ain't in it. Let me get on camera. I ain't in it, bro. You see how he keep going? Yeah, you by yourself on that one, champ.
I ain't fucking Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown made Charlamagne shut the fuck up, bro. So
and he keeps going.
Like, man, he's like, yo, aren't you a rapist? Charlamagne was like,
yeah.
I can't. What do you say back to that when you are in fact a rapist?
Vince McMahon quote, "Come out, you
rapist."
That's like the
Jim saying Rome, that too.
The Jim Rome, David Stern.
I don't.
Do you still beat your wife? And Jim Rome was like, "That's not called for." Like, and David Stern was just like, "Well, you asked that the draft was rigged." Like, so shut
I remember that.
Like the President Bush, like, so shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I remember that now. I don't know what happened to Jim Rome after that, but I vividly remember that.
He went to CBS and I was like, yep, I'm in obscurity now.
Jim Rome was trash though, bro.
There's nothing you can say to that.
Did you used to beat your wife?
There's nothing you can say to that.
No, he's like, no, not that you used to. Davis was like, don't you still? I think he said, like, don't you like?
At that point, you just gotta say, "I'm gonna beat your ass too." I'm sorry, I'm gonna beat your ass, not two, just you. You gotta clear it up.
Yo, if you are in fact beating her ass, you're definitely gonna let that "I'm gonna beat your ass too" slip out. Not even like the say like, "Yo, how about I beat your ass?" Like, no, I'm gonna beat your ass just like I beat.
Real quick, Ben, because you and Graham co-run the Public Enemies Twitter account, the amazing at Public Enemies podcast, right?
Thank you.
Twitter account.
Yeah.
Did you post the Ike Turner picture about Samoa Joe and these women?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
See, now we're in deep water. Now we're in dark.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's back up.
And I say this to Graham and I say this to CJ all the fucking time. I'm like, there's gonna be one day I'm gonna go too far, and everybody's going to like try to. They're gonna try to hang me. I don't know if you guys know. You guys know who Cam Hawkins is. Cam Hawkins is, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Banks, come on.
Seahawk.
Yeah.
You know who that is.
Who?
They're like, yo, who are these niggas?
Yeah, I know who y'all talking about, but I ain't, we don't do that over here.
But
okay.
I was like that little trial and everything they had for him. I was like, one day that's going to be me, and I need you guys to understand that shit. I'm not telling you like this shit might happen. I'm telling you this shit is going to happen because like usually I try to abstain from like getting into it with people that comment on the tweets and like they'll say like, oh, you're stupid or something like that.
Someone you
like
really
usually,
you shouldn't get involved with.
Usually, like
Twitter.
back when I think it was maybe like 2 weeks ago when Naomi lost to Piper Niven in her debut or whatever. She was with Eve Marie or whatever. I tweeted something like, she's Naomi's better than this. Y'all need to. She's not really somebody you should bring in to have somebody like get squashed all the time, and like. I think you get a few people here, and like Stat Guy Greg was like, yeah, just like wait it out and everything like that. And I had like a good back and forth with him. And then this other guy was like, no, she's not gonna fuck you. You need to stop. You need to shut up. This and that. Like you need to get off her dick or and shit, something to that effect. And I look at this shit. And like some people, like he has like followers that are fucking with the tweet, and like he's getting like likes and shit like that. And I'm like, okay. And then I see him comment underneath his own tweet, #ratioed. I was like, nah, I can't let this slide. I was like, I will never let somebody ratio me. Fuck that.
And see that, and that's that kind of response is gonna like. Greg is smart enough to like again say like no like the wait it out thing is again like her time will come. It came before. It'll happen again. It's a cycle. Yeah. It's a vicious cycle. Like right now, like she was at the top before, fell into some bullshit. It'll cycle back through. It's always shitty in the moment. But like people who legit comment like that are legit just gonna be like, oh shit.
Like yeah,
like come on.
I respect.
Oh wow, like congrats saying that like someone's not gonna fuck a Twitter account. Real clever. Like,
I'm like, bro, and this motherfucker, he was like, yo, y'all are on her dick and everything. I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna let a Stan account or the Golden State Warriors and Roman Reigns at the same time talk this shit to me.
That thing, I saw a tweet yesterday where someone said something, and I was like, I clicked on the account, and it was just like part of the tribal chiefs, and all that. I'm like, oh my God. I'm just like, if you're like trying to affiliate your stuff, like that's just like, come on, relax. Like, Stan accounts, I already said last week, like, don't
fucking weird.
Yeah, I already said last week, don't follow Discussing Film, Pop Crave, Fiend for Followers, WWE on Fox. Like, don't follow Stan accounts. And like, even if you're a diehard fan of that person, still, it's ridiculous.
Bruh. No lies. No lies.
I mean, even though Banks, and watch this, but Banks is basically a glorified Stan account for Bret Hart, which, I mean, I don't know why.
Segue.
All right.
Talk your shit. That's
so no, hang on. Let me lay it all out because every day I think between the three of us on some platform or another, podcast, Twitter, there is always a Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels discussion. Banks is a legit Bret Hart fan. Ben, you're a legit Shawn Michaels fan, right? Like that's your go.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
That's my go.
I'm not a Shawn Michaels fan like everyone thinks. I like Shawn Michaels. And my problem with Bret Hart, I've said it before, Goldberg's my first favorite wrestler. He constantly shits on Goldberg. Again, I don't mind that Bret Hart's bitter towards Bischoff and everyone else. Like he has a right to be. He's in the right on that. I 100% like that he's like Hulk Hogan's a phony piece of shit. Like, yeah, talk like he is. Way to go, Hitman. But like I said to Banks, like Bret Hart, because and everyone in general, everyone has an ego,
on and
but
off
Bret Hart
switch for that.
But Bret Hart has an ego and tries to play it off like he doesn't.
Well, he definitely does.
Yeah,
I can't say that he definitely does.
Like sometimes I feel like his bitterness gets I feel like it gets out of control sometimes. Like when he was, I forget how many years ago, he was literally like shitting on Seth Rollins every chance that he got, and it's like, bro, I've never done anything to you.
Well, I mean, that was at the time where like Seth Rollins had broken John Cena's nose and then ended Sting's career at that time. So Bret Hart was legit like, as someone who had their career ended. Well, no, but Bret Hart's like, as someone whose career got ended in the ring because someone was sloppy and didn't know what to do. He's seen Seth Rollins as someone who's reckless and, watch out for him in the ring.
There's a contrast between Seth Rollins and Goldberg.
I can admit that, yeah. As like Goldberg.
Seth Rollins, like he gets in the ring, like he knows what he's doing. He's in general. Sometimes, like I don't have to tell you guys. Sometimes you fuck up sometimes wrestlers fuck up and sometimes they injure people. Like the whole John Cena break, like he breaking John Cena's nose, and Sting even admitted, like, "Yo, that was my bad. Like I threw my neck back. That was on me."
Well, also, like you shouldn't be in the ring. You're 58 years old.
Thank you. Even to this day, I say that. I'm like, bruh, what were you doing in that ring with a 30-year-old man? First off, even when you were in your prime in WCW, you were not that good. You were not. You've never been that guy, Sting. I always have beef. It's like and the fucked up part is I like Sting, but I don't like people overrating him. Like, oh my god, he was so good in his prime in WCW. He's just like I love the Undertaker too. He's my favorite wrestler. But
I'm leaving now. I'm leaving now.
All makes sense.
The same thing I say about him, I say about the Undertaker. Even in his prime, he was not that good.
Okay, but everybody says about Taker. He been in his prime.
The only reason my favorite is because
he's been in his prime since 92.
I came in and watched him. He's been in his prime since 92.
If you ask
1992,
if you ask most of the old heads or you ask most wrestling fans, they would say he's been in his prime since he first got that gimmick when he left.
First of all, Banks, I know who you're kind of referring to, and that person's a fucking idiot. So I wouldn't trust anything.
I'm not even referring to the guy. I'm my guy. I'm referring to just people in general. The consistency of him as a worker has been since 92. That he has been the focal point of what you're supposed to be as a professional and as a pro wrestler. Even when he was broken down.
I guess. Character-wise, I guess.
That's what it is. They put so much on the gimmick, the entrance, the showing up out of nowhere, more than the actual matches.
But ring-wise, it wasn't like it was a bunch of great workers, even in that early 99. Hell, in the 90s, it wasn't that many great workers that you'd be like, oh, they pop up on your screens. So for them to say Sting was good, they probably have a point because in WCW was so much filter outside of the cruiserweight division that had the best workers on the planet, probably.
Because I will never say that the Undertaker was in his prime his whole career. Like, look at the shit in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. He looked drained out there every time he went to the ring.
05 to 09, that's his best run.
That is his best. Those 4 years are his best run. And then when he would come back yearly to do those matches, like, okay, this is good. And until he got to CM Punk, and it's like, bro, why are you even still out here?
But to be fair, because CM Punk
is a great worker.
He pulled a fucking amazing match out.
Oh my god, I'm fucking dead.
Oh, see, here we go. Mr. Bret Hart's going to be like, CM Punk's like not a great worker. Oh, all right.
CM Punk and I always say this all the time, CM Punk and Bret Hart are virtually the same thing.
In terms of, in terms of bitter personalities and having so much pride. pride in being able to carry people and get the most out of people. Yeah, 100%.
I love this. Like they're great in-ring workers, but they're also bitter as hell.
But CM Punk also is way more entertaining on the mic and in the ring than Bret Hart ever was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Banks didn't hear that, but did you hear what I said?
I'm sorry, dog.
Run it back. I just want them to see my facial expressions. I ain't gonna say.
I said that. I was agreeing with Ben that CM Punk and Bret Hart are the same, except Bret Hart. I mean, CM Punk was always more entertaining on the mic and in the ring compared to Bret Hart by leaps and bounds. Better matches, better promos.
I remember he came back and cut The Rock to shreds, bro.
He cut everyone to shreds.
That was no fucking hard to do because The Rock was just writing his shit down at that point. That was not hard to do.
The Rock's promos have never been as good as people remember them and people try to like bring them out to be.
And what's more,
it's always been high school jokes and shit like that. And like when you get into the ring with somebody who can actually like talk and like cut you up, this shit starts coming out.
Name me your favorite CM Punk matches. Give me 5 right now in WWE. Outside. Give me 5 right now.
Who first? Ben, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. CM Punk versus John Cena Money in the Bank. CM Punk versus John Cena Monday Night Raw. CM Punk versus
Daniel Bryan over the limit 2012.
Oh yeah. That's a great one too. And let me see another one. CM Punk versus I'll even give you I'll give you an obscure one too. CM Punk versus Sheamus on the first episode of
Main Event.
A Main Event.
Fire. Again, Undertaker at WrestleMania 29, the best match that man had last decade. Come on.
Yeah, let me see. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. CM Punk versus he had a good match with Seth Rollins. He had a good match with Seth Rollins on a Monday Night Raw. Christian versus CM Punk.
The Chicago street fight, Extreme Rules 2012. That's good because I always love a street fight where they're actually wearing street clothes. That's how you got to do it.
CM Punk versus Chris Jericho at Payback.
Yep, 2013.
Let me see. I was actually a fan of CM Punk versus The Rock.
I don't know. I watched the Royal Rumble. That match was pretty sloppy. I didn't run back the Elimination Chamber one.
The Elimination Chamber one is the one that I like.
Okay. When I watched that Royal Rumble one, I'm like, ooh, yeah, this one. Yeah, The Rock was. I'm like, he was rusty for that match. I'm like,
no wonder these guys who are like paying you to be in these movies. No wonder they don't want you to wrestle because you look like you're about to kill yourself.
When he does that gourd buster on the barricade and he slips right off, it's like, oh shit.
But you're talking about Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels.
But again, like, so the rivalry of that is because again they were in this at the same exact time in the handoff from Bret Hart to Shawn Michaels, but having to go back to Bret Hart because Shawn Michaels was a headache backstage and wasn't doing numbers like how they thought he was. He was doing basically equivalent to Bret or a little bit less. So this is like a rivalry.
Neither one of them were doing numbers at that time.
No, but I'm saying like
wrestling was virtually dead.
Well, except for WCW was also beating them at that time as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm taking back. WWF was virtually dead at that time.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. It's like they thought Shawn Michaels would be the saving grace because again, Diesel flopped so bad. They're like, all right, maybe Shawn Michaels, but he again either had lesser numbers than Bret or the equivalent.
I don't know what it was at that time. They give it off to like, Bob Backlund. I'm like, why the fuck are you putting a title on Bob Backlund?
It is Bob Backlund.
Ask Banks. Like that's his man.
You like Bob Backlund?
Yeah, I watch wrestling.
What is Bob Backlund's character? What is Bob Backlund's character?
He's a wrestler.
Maybe a racist that
maybe a racist.
That put crossface chicken wings on niggas. I don't know.
You're not wrong. That's his character. That's the guy you want to hold the champion. You want to hold your championship for like over 1,000 days.
Compared to who back then? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, in the 70s, that's different. Everyone had a title. Almost everyone had a title reign over like a year and a half.
What was his second when he came back? What was that title reign? How long was he champion when
that was like
that second title
it was like 3 days, I think, something like that.
But this first one, let me cut the promo real quick. Not to cut you off.
Here we go. No, because you love wrestling.
No, 6 years nobody beat Mr. Bob Backlund. I beat him, the Mecca of the arena. Number 1, Sheik. He beat him.
Oh my!
6 years he got the title off of him. Mr. Verdi Grania said, "Don't drop that title to that Hollywood blonde jabroni Hulk Hogan."
That's what I mean. That's why they had Iron Sheik beat Bob Backlund, because Bret Hart's like, Bob Backlund's like, I'm not gonna lose to fucking Hulk Hogan. You got to be kidding me. Bob Backlund's like, I could wrestle circles around this bald-headed fuck.
Bro, you could out wrestle Hulk Hogan back then if you were alive. They got hard to do. Most of the motherfuckers was trash back then.
Like he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. He stole everything that is Hulk Hogan is who the fuck was it?
Give it back. Whoever he stole it from.
Superstar Billy Graham, yeah.
Yeah, Superstar Billy Graham. He stole his entire character from Superstar Billy Graham. And it's Superstar Billy Graham's own fucking fault, because Hulk Hogan came to him and was like, "Hey, I've seen some of the shit you do. I was thinking like maybe I can incorporate some of that into my character." And Bob Backlund's dumbass was like, "Yeah, take the whole thing."
What did the GOAT say? Bret Hart. What did he say about Hulk Hogan?
Then
he's a phony piece of shit.
No. Yeah. What else did he say? He said 10 out of 10 looks, 10 out of 10 body, 1 out of 10 wrestling skills.
To say he was 10 out of 10 looks and body is like, again,
back in that day.
He was bald at 18, and his body was like, Rick Rude had a much better body than him, and that's what's insane. Like, Vince McMahon's supposed to have this body fetish. Look at Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect compared to Hulk Hogan. Better bodies and better ability.
It's just super.
Rick Rude is definitely more toned.
I hate this fucking weather.
But Hulk Hogan was 6'8", and again, to quote Scott Steiner, he's fat.
No, but that was the look, like swole. Even if you don't have a six pack, it's just you got to be swole, bro.
Just as long as you had the arms back then.
Yeah, that's all it is. Like
as long as you had pythons, brother. Like you could have virtually no legs, just as long as you had the arms and the torso.
Oh no, they had prison bodies, bro. They had little legs, but they were swole.
Yeah, like I seen, like you look at him when he jumps from back to WCW. You look at his legs.
Oh well, that's
he started wearing tight. Like even like you start picking it up. You start picking up on it.
That's post steroid trial, so he had to get off that.
And then he gets right back on when no one's looking.
Right when the NWO starts, yeah.
No, he was off of it a little bit because he went down from 300 to like 260, 270. Not like 260, you could tell because he slimmed down a little bit too, but he still had the gut. So he was taking it a little bit at a time, but by then,
I'm saying, like he's off it in like the extent, like he had to get off it fully, then re-upped, and then was slowly like keeping it. Even because like WCW wasn't drug testing people like WWF was. It was like, come on,
bro, it's Atlanta. They ain't drug testing nobody out there. Like, where the promotion was based on of.
I think that's when Bret Hart's wife said when he was in WCW. That's when Bret Hart failed his test for steroids as well.
Yeah, they all were on the shit. I'm not surprised. I don't have a problem with that. Let me be clear about this. Let me
no. Bret Hart took steroids to be like in the way of how you, in the way that you're really supposed to.
Like, you had to. Back then, it was like it wasn't like, oh, is this morally right or is morally wrong? It was like it was something that you were supposed to do.
Not even supposed to. It's just a recovery. Like your body is getting beat down.
The real benefits, not the vain aesthetic of like, look at me, look at my body. Like,
yeah, you're supposed to because your body depends on it. At a certain point after doing it, your body starts depending on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your heart give out. That's why I don't understand how Hulk Hogan's still alive.
Racism.
Hulk Hogan is still alive. Yeah, the racism and the hate and the homophobia is just keeping him going.
Again, for a man who was saying brother his whole career.
He's like stink meaner. Like I was supposed to die at 15, but I'm just alive right now because of this hate that's in my heart.
Hell ain't shit. I would get you free, man.
But see, that's the thing with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels is that really what goes around comes around. Because if you look at Bret Hart now, even with his strokes, he looks much better at this age than Shawn Michaels does.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Day.
What does that tell you? Hold on. So what does that tell you?
I told you it's what goes around comes around. Shawn Michaels was a dickhead back then.
No, God
he lost his hair. He lost his hair. Lost his eye.
That motherfucker got an 8-ball eye.
Like that eye is taking a sabbatical, bro.
But to be fair, to win it. I mean, to do that, he got a second run, which like eclipses Bret Hart. Like what Shawn Michaels did in that second run is the stuff of legend.
Wait, so you saying he sold his soul just to come back, but couldn't get his eye fixed? That was the price he had to pay.
Because the eye injury happened 2 years into the second run.
I'd rather stay retired then. If I gotta be cockeyed and I get a second run, when I'm already established.
God was like, "Yo, you can go back and you can do wrestling. I'll fix your back, but you's gonna look nasty, man. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm good.
You's gonna be looking real gross."
He's like, "You are my son, correct?" And Strong's like, "Yes, Lord." He's like, "What the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away."
Man,
Facts, like, bro.
Pray in the past 5 years, bro.
It was legit like in Thor when Odin's like, "I take your hammer," like, and then we touch on Michael's eye, like.
Apparently, he's like, "Yo." Apparently, he's like, "Yo, I still do every week. I still teach like a Bible study class or something." I'm like,
"Oh my God,
Cap, that boy, Cap." Look, Shane Helms already said he out here lying, bro. He said he tricked
Shane Helms still hates his guts.
And RVD. Well, no, RVD's like, I don't really have a problem with him no more.
Like a lot of them.
But when RVD does the Shawn Michaels eye impression, that shit's hilarious.
It is.
He is legit like, man, fuck you. Like, you were an asshole to me. I mean, we're cool now, but like, man, fuck you.
Well, RVD.
No, when was he an asshole? When was he an asshole to him?
His whole career.
Yeah, he legit. Yeah, it was the whole thing where like, I think they were like, "Oh, RVD's like a better version of Shawn Michaels," and Shawn Michaels like, "Shit, I do this too." And then, but like RVD's a stoner, and like Shawn Michaels is now reformed, so like he's judging him for like getting high. Allegedly, okay, what?
So I get it.
He reformed.
I get it.
Oh, I'm sure, but again, like it. And then RVD, like in the interview, RVD's like, when I did the Hall of Fame induction for the Sheik in 2007, after Shawn Michaels was like, he said, Shawn Michaels was like, "Wow, bro, I didn't know you had that in you. Like, it was very heartful, like well spoken, like wow." And then RVD's like, "Yeah, dude,
that's always a dickhead statement."
Yeah, RVD was like, "Dude, I know you think I'm like this fucking stoner hippie, fucking doesn't give a shit guy, but like, you know, like fuck you, like yeah, I can, just because I don't want to let on more than people know, like yeah."
Everybody who says that never they never know it's not a compliment.
Oh, 100%.
They always deliver it with thinking like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna be grateful that I said." I'm like, "No, fuck you. What do you mean you didn't think I had it in me?"
But that's what I'm saying. That's the same shit. Like, bro, he don't do the favors for people. He didn't let Leon White from Compton, aka Vader, get over.
It's Compton's own Leon.
Nah, the shit that he did to Vader, I'm like, how did Vader not beat the shit out of him? He kicked him he kicked him as hard as he could in his head.
Yeah,
because them fucking jabronis, the clique, they kept saying, "Oh, he gonna get me fired." I forgot who said it in the shoot interview, but basically, Leon White, Compton's own Leon White, kept saying like, "Did he try to get me fired?" Sean said he'll get me fired. That's why. Because you know what I mean, he missed that spot.
Like Shawn Michaels didn't like how, and also how Vader beat him up because like Vader's whole thing was legit hurting people, whether it just because he didn't like. He wasn't able to hold back. His whole thing's like just.
But he's the only person to say that, because Mick Foley said he didn't stiff me, even though that spot did go bad, that over the rope spot that had him choked up and he lost his ear.
Yeah.
But you don't hear Bret saying that, "Oh, he stiffed me," and you know he'd be quick to say.
Yeah, he did. Yes,
he did. He did.
Yes, he did. He did. In the interview that he had with Stone Cold, he was shitting on Vader for like 2 minutes, and Stone Cold had to be like, "Yo, chill out. Like, yo, God rest the dead, and let's move on."
Can you send that to me?
He's like, "Yeah, man, wrestling." He was like, "Wrestling." Okay.
See, I can admit real quick. I can admit when I'm wrong, people. I don't know if you're right, because I'm wrong most of the time.
Here we go.
But still, can you please send me that clip, because I didn't know he was stiff with Bret, But see, also Bret worked with another big. Well, he worked with multiple big guys, and it got over. He worked with the guy that got me into wrestling, being Bam Bam Bigelow. That's how old I am. That Ben, I got into wrestling because of Bam Bam Bigelow and Major Pain.
God damn.
Yeah, that's what got me into wrestling. Seeing, I told Davis that on the podcast. It was like, that's how I got into wrestling, because I saw Bam Bam Bigelow and Major Pain, and then I saw Bam Bam Bigelow on WCW, and I was like, I'm all in.
I forgot he was a Major Pain.
Thanks, because I was listening to the Lapsed Fan. I can't remember which one it was, but they read from Bret Hart's book, and like we talked about at the beginning of the pod, he had no problem saying so and so was with 4 black women. Because they were on a South Africa tour. He's like, Big Boss Man was with this giant black woman.
I beg your pardon.
And I was just like, what the fuck?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The man with the Confederate flag tattoo from Alabama?
Mm-hmm. They were in Africa.
Like, this is why I always say it. This is why I say people like, I'm like, just because you're with a person of color or a black person, it doesn't automatically exempt you from being a racist. Like, people are like, why would you say it? I'm like, I have 400 years of proof.
No, I also think that was like Bret Hart being more like honest. Like, again, like he's like,
yeah, Bret Hart.
It could be racist for like what's the term to like say, like, again, like emphasizing that like they're black women, like where it's like,
oh no, that's not racist for him. Like,
no, I'm saying again,
emphasizing they're black women.
He had prefaced it like we're on the South Africa tour, and like we're surrounded by all these black women, and so and so's got one, and this one's got 2, and all that.
Also, he was saying names.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole thing about Bret Hart. He's a snitch.
He doesn't give a fuck. He will say, he will be like, that guy. I heard him say the N-word in the locker room.
But again, the reason we know about Bulldog being on crack is because of Bret Hart.
His fucking family.
Well, you know how he feels about his mother-in-law too.
I've never heard him say anything.
I'm sorry, not his mother-in-law, his
sister-in-law.
Sister. Yeah, his sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Owen Hart's wife.
What does he say about it? Oh yeah,
like that. Yeah.
And that's only because like he was trying to get he's mad at her because when they were trying to smooth things over at WWF and get the money out of the settlement, she was like, yo, I don't want this fucking money. I don't want any of this shit. I want niggas to go to jail, basically. And Bret was like, bitch, that ain't gonna happen. I'm trying to get money. Like, do you want this family to go back eating bananas for like 2 weeks straight? Or do you want to actually have money? Which is it, bitch? That's why the whole family don't like her. That's why Natalya is every 5 minutes. Yeah, my Uncle Owen, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because it's his birthright.
And he was better than Bret too.
I'm gonna let you know. I always say, is people like, oh, Owen would want to be in the Hall of Fame. If I ever die on a job and they want to put me in a Hall of Fame, do not do that shit. Fuck that job. They let me die. I don't want to be in your fucking Hall of Fame.
I feel you, because it don't amount to nothing. No, the WWE Hall of Fame doesn't.
Oh yeah, again, they let Kid Rock in. That doesn't mean shit.
They're putting it, but they are putting it together a physical Hall of Fame.
Even then that's still bullshit, because like the people, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're actually gonna like have so and so's boots or like this person's mask. Like the people in the Hall of Fame. Again, put Kevin Rudolph in. Put fucking Saliva in. Don't put Kid Rock in. Come on. Put people that actually made a difference.
Fuck Kid Rock. You take Donald Trump out of that shit.
All right, let's kind of end the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels thing now. We kind of, again, it'll go on for years and years to come whenever we're within vicinity of each other. But at least we kind of we had a sparring session here.
Oh, you mean that Shawn Michaels is superior of the two?
I think we already said that CM Punk was superior than Bret Hart, and he wasn't even supposed to be in the convo. But hey,
I know, and they brought him up. And then let me say once again, he tricked y'all. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't give a fuck about that arm Pepsi having motherfucker. I don't care about the little stupid ass shoot or work interview. I mean, promo he did 10 years ago. when John Cena was laid out and kept selling that table spot.
Yeah, John Cena, that's how you know John Cena's the GOAT. Like, a real professional. He's like, damn, this table. Fuck.
He's like, damn, man. What did they make this table? Is this mahogany?
Yeah.
God. Like, please cut the camera so I can get up. Like, he was laid down for 10 minutes while this motherfucker
He was not doing the Randy Orton thing, like the camera cut. Are we
see,
done?
Meanwhile,
are we live?
Like, see, this is what I mean. Meanwhile, people are like, Roman Reigns, oh my God, he's crying. It's like, okay, it's not that hard to cry when you're beating your family member's ass. Like, come on, ease up.
Yo, Hollywood's coming for that motherfucker though.
No, he can't act. It's all
how you know
of this story.
How many action movie stars? Because that's exactly what he's gonna do. It's not like how many action movie stars do you know that can actually act?
No, but everyone's like gonna think that the wrestling acting is gonna translate of him like being able to like again. All he's doing is whispering and talking shit about his family.
Because Sylvester Stallone can't act worth a goddamn.
Yeah, I mean, except in Creed, that was the only time like he turned it on, like.
And Rocky Balboa.
I've never seen Rocky Balboa.
Not Rocky Balboa. It's a good movie. It's pretty good. I like it. But
the scene about him and the son, I know that like it's about you can get it. Like, okay, come on, Sly, like ease up. Bro. We know you're like I wrote this. Brando. We'd always do these dialogues.
The thing with Rocky. We'll talk about Rocky in a little bit, right?
Well, it's a good segue into franchises. Like, okay, what about the Rocky franchise?
The whole thing about Rocky was it didn't make sense for him. Like at the end of Rocky Balboa, he tries to like form a relationship with his son, who he's estranged from since Adrian died. And he's like, yo, I'm trying to form a relationship. At the end of that movie, he shows up to his house, like, okay, tries to connect with him. But it's not until Rocky 2 that he actually forms a relationship with him. I was like, this shit doesn't make sense.
Oh, you mean Creed 2?
Yeah, in Creed 2. In Creed 2, he's like, yo, he shows up to the house and like, oh, I got a grandson, shit like that. It doesn't make sense for you to make that the ending of 2 movies. Like, what the fuck were you doing in the middle of those times when you weren't having a relationship with your kid?
It's what Banks and I will talk about in regards to Fast and Furious about retconning and not acknowledging shit while we already witnessed it.
They don't even acknowledge Rocky Balboa in the series, I don't think, when they in Creed 2. Mm-hmm. It's like those Dragon Balls. It's like those Dragon Ball Z movies in between the shows. It's like these aren't canon.
See, canon's always a shitty debate because you're a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
And there's always like what's canon and what's not canon. Like because again they wrote there's the books, there's the shows.
I've read the books. I've seen the shows and everything like that. Like the shit that I didn't like was Disney bought this shit. They're like, oh, we want to come up with a new movie franchise, and they saw like, okay, there's books, there's comic books, there's source material, and I can understand on the one side why Disney wanted to do their own thing, but you literally have all this shit that you can go off of, and they're like, yo, all this shit is cool, but we're not going with any of that shit. All this shit doesn't exist. This shit never happened. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna write our new movies. And then when people aren't really into it as much as they were into the books or whatever, like critically, they're like, oh, I don't know what's happening.
That's always the tough thing because I remember Kevin Smith said this years ago, and it was actually a smart thing he said where Disney had like owned the market on children and especially young girls with like princesses and all that, and then they got the young boys with getting Marvel and then getting Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was was genius.
Yeah, and then to go on and build a new universe with
like
trying to be original. Yeah, but they put the wrong. Like one half for years. They put the wrong person in charge.
One half of me understands. Like, okay, I enjoy the books to this day. I enjoy the comic books to this day. But I understand, like, you just bought this. You want to create your own thing, something that hasn't been done before. Because what happens if you did like? Have you read any of the books?
Hell no.
Or listened to any of the audio books?
Nope. What about you, Banks?
Okay, I was
You know goddamn well I ain't read them books.
So in the books, they had like this whole like 3-part book series after the original movies take place, and it's good. I understand, and I'm like, yo, the fan in me was like, yo, I want them to do this, but logically, I understand they're not going to want to do this because this, like, people could read the book and not watch the movie, spoilers and all types of other variables. So I understand that you want to get people in there off of something that's never been done before.
Well, like I said, I always say this, and Banks, I think, kind of agrees with that. Kathleen Kennedy was the wrong person to put in charge just based off her hiring and firing people.
Oh, for sure.
Right away. And then you see what The Mandalorian does, and that's entirely Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's brainchild. Yeah. Again, Dave Filoni worked on numerous cartoons and then shepherded the second iteration of Clone Wars.
He does the Clone Wars and everything like that. Mm-hmm.
But then they teamed up with Jon Favreau, whose like dream was to make something Star Wars. Like when Disney first bought it, I remember like Entertainment Weekly put out an article like, these are the front runners for directing the new Star Wars movie. It's either going to be Jon Favreau, Zack Snyder, or someone else. And I'm like, Jon Favreau wouldn't be bad. And he had already been passed over for the Avengers because there was talks that he was going to direct it, but then they got, fucking Joss Whedon. Even though I love that movie, him as a person, fucking despicable.
And the Mandalorian was good because
it's the best thing they've done.
Exactly. Like, it appeals not only to people who are Star Wars fans, but you can sit down and have no knowledge of the Star Wars universe. You can sit down and like watch this show. Because my brother, when Disney Plus came out and they launched it, he texted me. He was like, "Oh, I know you're into Star Wars. How's the Mandalorian?" I told him, I was like, "You don't have to know shit about like Star Wars universe. You can sit down and watch it. It's like a Western."
Well, like with Banks, Banks is a Star Trek guy, but you love the Mandalorian.
I love Star Trek too.
Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
I'm just a
how many hours
nerd.
Because if we start the Star Trek talk, I tell people it's gonna go a little while.
Well, I mean, no, because then we're talking to franchise. Why Star Trek? I'm not saying why statewide it's better in your opinion, not in like a hating way, just like why you prefer Star Trek over Star Wars. I always think it's an interesting
dynamic. It was a real beef for like years.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
again, it's still
there is still a beef.
Well, but remember in the 90s it was like super
Yankees, Red Sox, where it's not as big as it once was.
Yeah, that's a dork fan base as well. So. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to Yankee fans, because I think Manny is a Yankee fan and some other people I know, but all the Boston Red Sox fans are
Red Fox.
The
Boston Red Fox.
I'm thinking about Sanford and Son right now. I'm tripping. Yeah, so the Boston Red Sox. No. More so because I got into it in the 90s when the show with Patrick Stewart was out and LeVar Burton. Yeah, the Next Generation.
I didn't get into the Next Generation at first. I got into because all like the same thing with like Rocky and Star Trek. I got into it because my mother would watch it, and I would be like, I don't. And back then, like at one time, like we only had one TV with actual cable up into it. So, and when I didn't feel like watching a VHS tape or playing a video game, I'd have to sit down and like she'd be watching TV, and I'd be like, I don't want to watch this. And then I fall into it and I would get intrigued with, like, I watched the original Star Trek with, who the fuck is in it?
William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, all that. Like, I fell in love with that one. But when I compare like, the Next Generation to the original, Next Generation for sure in terms of like character development and everything like that, because there's no character development in the original Star Trek. There is absolutely no character development. Captain Kirk's always a dick.
Yeah.
When it's not when everything isn't centering around him, he's a complete asshole. Like the episode where Spock falls in love with this woman, and you go about what you're doing. I'm gonna stay here. Like, I've never felt this way about another person in my entire life. Like, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna be with her. Captain Kirk was like, you love the ship. You want to be around. You want to be with us and everything like that. I was like, bruh, I'm happy. Let me be happy. Just because she won't be with you doesn't mean you have to ruin my shit, because Captain Kirk always hits on every woman in every episode, and he hit on that woman, and she was like, no, I don't want you. And again, after that, he was a complete asshole.
That's the funny thing about the J.J. Abrams movies. Like, you can tell, because they got Chris Pine to try to establish, again, like, he's with the green woman, played by the other Rachel Nichols, not the NBA one, the actress one. And again, he always wants Uhura, even though she's clearly with Spock. But again, he'll literally just fuck anything that moves.
I'm like,
hey,
bro,
man, he should have got some karate lessons in the movies, though, in the J.J. Abrams movie, because he was getting his ass beat.
That's what the whole point is. Like, Kirk is legit just like someone who's not supposed to be a badass. He's just the person who's like willing to do anything.
Look, I got to get that soundbite for us, too, the Tommy Lee Jones from The Fugitive. I don't care. You still got to fight, bro. Like, he was getting his ass beat. Like, bro, I don't care, bro. Because at least in the TV shows, the ones from like the 60s and the 70s, he had a blower, like a burner. He had a little laser gun. Like, damn, bro. He would
fuck niggas up with that. If he got mad, he'd be like, yo, man, I'm gonna kill this.
I also think that's like the ego of Shatner versus like J.J. Abrams being like Chris Pine's Kirk shouldn't be
Shatner back then.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think J.J. Abrams like Chris Pine's Kirk shouldn't be this badass that can get shit done. No, he's this guy who's like got this again. Like, that's why I love that first Star Trek movie that Abrams said is that it's got a great opening scene, which is essentially like the Superman story. You know, ships blowing up, save all the lives. Except for like the guy Bruce Greenwood's character tells him like your dad was captain of the Star Trek of the whatever the ship was, like for 12 minutes he saved how many lives. Like, that's who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be the badass gunslinger. You're supposed to be the one who's going to save lives and leave them to safety.
You still can't just get your ass beat. I'm sorry, bro.
Remember, he's supposed to, again, in that scene with Spock, he's supposed to let Spock kick his ass so he can.
You're supposed to be saving. Like, that's why, like,
yeah.
Spock shouldn't have been the leader in
like
these
that's
movies.
why I like Patrick Stewart's him as Picard better, because he was a better captain. Like, he wasn't sending random guys down to the surface to their death. All of these people, these guys who were like on his ship weren't expendable people. He wasn't like, yo, man, that guy died. Like, oh my God, like, I really don't give a fuck. He'd be like, oh, that guy died. I'm gonna mourn him for 2 episodes.
Right. No, he was an actual.
Like, he cared about this. He was an actual leader. Captain Kirk was like, yo, I don't like. That was his whole thing. Was like, yo, I want to get moved up to another ship because I don't want to explore space. I want to go do some real shit. Fuck y'all.
And Picard, well, I don't remember his actually.
I think it's also like British versus American as well. Like,
and guess who's going to
Picard
win?
was selfless.
Britain, because I'm trying to become a citizen, so I'm going to say Britain.
Yeah. But actually, Star Trek fans are a lot more relaxed than fans. And I've noticed that over the years.
Well, you can see, even though I don't like Last Jedi, I think it's just a bad movie. And I think they also made bad decisions, but also, again, Rise of Skywalker is much worse than Last Jedi.
And Star Wars fans are very much like wrestling fans in the same vein of
I can
give you everything. I give you everything that you want, and you're still gonna bitch at me. Like back at WrestleMania 35, when they were like, "Okay, we're gonna give you guys what you want." They asked them like, "Okay, what do you want?" We want Seth Rollins to beat Brock Lesnar and to win the Royal Rumble and go beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Done. What happens after that? Oh, he's a boring champion. What else do you guys want? We want Roman Reigns to be as far from the main event as possible. And then got mad when Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre's story wasn't what they wanted it to be. Oh, you're wasting both of these men's time and like that. And like, you didn't want him in the main event. What the fuck do you want me to do? And then the other thing they wanted, what else do you want? We want Becky Lynch to main event WrestleMania, win both of the women's titles,
started on that
and shit like that. And then they got that shit and were mad because the finish wasn't what they wanted it to be. Then Then the last thing, the biggest thing, Kofi Mania. We want Kofi Mania. Okay, here you go. Here is Kofi Mania. Not even a month into his run. Oh, he's such a boring champion. Why is he still doing the New Day stuff? He's one of the most boring WWE champions ever. They literally got everything that they wanted and shit all over it. And then had the nerve to be mad when he lost the title to Brock Lesnar on the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox. I'm like, you motherfuckers have been shitting on him this entire run, saying that he's so boring and he needs to be more serious. That's not what got him there. What got him there was the shit that you are seeing right now. Like, what the fuck do you want? That's why we don't get what we want right now. That's why when you champion someone online, you champion a wrestler online, you're like, yo, this guy deserves a chance. Like with Naomi. Like when people are like, oh, you know, we want Naomi to win the title. Their thing is like, yo, I'm not going to give you this shit. And then you like shit on me again for giving you exactly what you want. Fuck you. And it's the same thing with Star Wars fans, right? Like, I didn't really care for The Last Jedi. And it's not for the reasons why a lot of people didn't care for it. A lot of people didn't care for it because they're like, oh, why does Luke Skywalker have to be a dick? And they're like,
no, he's like I said before, he should be, because if you live his life, you'd be a cynical asshole.
You look at the shit that happened to him. Like, bruh, I'm living on this island alone. I cut myself off to the Force and everything like that because I'm the reason why the First Order is in power. I'm the reason why all this terrible shit is happening. And you come to me and want me to train you? No, I don't want to train you. I want to sit here and wallow in my own self-pity and my own depression and my own bullshit. It made complete sense for him to be an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Because again, like I said, his whole thing was, I'm just this guy from nowhere. I find out I have this power. I find out this guy's my father, the ruler, like, who's destroyed planets. I found out this woman's my sister. I lose my fucking hand. I lose my hand, and then everything that happens after, again, like I said, like I'm the reason for the Force. Like, I'm why everything's fucked up. So I'm just gonna go here, live in this island. But I hate everything that takes place on that island in terms of like, oh, there's like weird fish space nuns. Like, come on, that's really dumb.
Like the other thing the thing that I really, really didn't like was when she goes to the island and he's like training her. How the fuck does she already know how to use the lightsaber? Luke had to do some training. She picked that shit up facts. She picked that shit up immediately, even in The Force Awakens. She picks that shit up immediately and it's like, yo, I know how to use this shit. And Finn is like, yo, put that shit down. You don't know what you're doing. And then he picks up the shit and like, yo, he knows more about, and it would make sense for him to wield a lightsaber better than her because he knows about combat training because he was.
Remember he said he was remember he said he worked in sanitation. So,
but still, you have to have some form of hand-to-hand combat.
I was never mad
about
her being. I was never mad about her and the whole argument like that she was a Mary Sue in terms of being good at everything. I mean, I would kind of like that in terms of it's interesting that someone, because there are some people just naturally gifted at everything compared to others. Yeah. Like it happens in life. I mean, so and so can do this, that, and the other. It just happens. But I mean, just like I said, really, they just put the wrong people in charge. I think that's why the franchise now, I'm like, so and the other thing was on the future, even though the Mandalorian's the best thing to come out of it. But like, I did like I talked about this before. The like. Half of Solo is good, like the original version before they reshot stuff. That's good. Rogue One again until they reshot that was good.
Was Solo really needed? Did we really need that movie?
No, but it would. I wanted to mind. Again, I didn't mind seeing it. I didn't mind that they were trying to make it.
I feel the same way about like it was like I didn't mind seeing it, but when I look back, I'm like, this didn't really need to be done. This could have been a mini series, a comic book, an animated series, anything before you decided to make it into a movie because it didn't do nearly what they wanted to do at the box office at all.
But again, that's because they already had the stink of the reshoots.
Yeah, who and they were put up against another like really strong movie at that time.
It was right after Black Panther.
Wasn't it
right before Infinity War, I think, or right after.
Yeah. So
Disney killed it itself because they.
I'm like, these are your own
they
movies.
had released it right after Last Jedi, so it was like, why are we getting another Star Wars movie too soon? When it was like, since 2015, when they released Force Awakens, it was December, and then it was like this one's in May, and everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, or April? It was just like, yeah.
Well, back to what I was saying about Star Wars fans being like shitty people, like the woman who played Rose. They bullied her so much online that she shut down all of her social media because you're mad at her about the way that the movie is going because they did shit based on your reactions in the first movie because Finn was supposed to have a much bigger role in terms of being a Force user and like being romantically involved with Rey. But Star Wars fans, it doesn't make sense. It's an oxymoron. You're like into this movie franchise where there's all these different aliens, these different species, these different everything, but still a racist. It doesn't make sense to me. But they didn't want Finn romantically involved with Rey, even though that's like you can like when you watch The Force Awakens, like you can clearly see that. They didn't want him to be romantically involved with Rey. But when he gets romantically involved with someone else, you have another problem with it. Like, I didn't get that. And they were they were talking shit to her online. Like, yo, I'm just an actor in this movie. I didn't create this shit. If you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Disney. You don't have to attack somebody on their personal like page and shit like that. Like they did, like, and Star Wars fans have a history of doing this. Who played Jar Jar Binks originally? Was it Andy Serkis?
No, I think Ahmed Best is the man's name.
Yeah, him. He contemplated suicide because Star Wars fans were harassing him so much. And I can even go back to the original trilogies when people would come up to Billy D. Williams on the street. Why did you betray Han Solo and everybody and blah, blah, blah? Like, fuck you. I'm an actor.
But that's also like the 70s, 80s in terms of like wrestling. Like you can't see the heels and the baby faces right in the car together. Like they think it's real. And like that's how you, again, it's still real to me. Damn it. Like those type of fans.
Even like, and Billy D. Williams said like this on like an interview or something like that. He was like, I think he did.
Billy D. Williams like, get the fuck out of my face. I got some pussy to
go
get.
For real. He was like, bro, I'm an actual actor. I've been in critically acclaimed movies before I was in this.
I'm in Lady Sings the Blues. Get the fuck out of my face.
Exactly. Like, bro, I'm
about to be Harvey Dent.
Like, bro, everybody in this movie series that you're about to watch, all of their careers die except for Harrison Ford. And guess what? I was supposed to play his character, and if he would have been playing Lando, his career would have died too.
I don't know, because I still think George Lucas would have had his back, especially him, and because again he already had Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, he was in Indiana Jones. I forgot about that.
No. Indiana Jones is right after. It's right after Star Wars and A New Hope. It's before Empire. It's right in the middle.
Okay, yeah, you're
but
right.
Either way, George Lucas would have, because he was American Graffiti. He was like George Lucas's guy from the start, so he would have had
George Lucas was. He's a weird guy, but
Vince McMahon's
Star Wars fans are like really like racist and homophobic and mean for like some very like intense reason, just like wrestling fans.
No, what?
And then the other thing was they're like Star Wars fans are really homophobic too.
Yeah,
like when they were gonna make Poe, they're like, yo, Poe was gonna be gay or whatever. Don't force that on me or my children and blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, there are literally aliens that are fucking humans. There are no laws here. There are no rules. You're mad about this. That's probably Poe being gay would probably be the most normal thing in the Star Wars universe, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah. or even buy, because like it would like if he was in the rain, then in a bin, it's like
because
like,
at the end of it,
this universe again, Lando was supposed to be fucking a robot in Solo. That was the whole thing about him and I forget the character's name, but I know Phoebe Waller-Bridge was the voice. But like their whole thing was like he was fucking that robot.
Yeah, that like the other thing was what I was saying about Star Wars fans are they're when you give them exactly what they want, they still don't want it. Like I admit they fucked up like the Rise of Skywalker because they tried to put in too much shit that everybody wanted. They're like, oh, we want the Knights of Rey. I mean, not the Knights of Rey, the Knights of Ren, and we want Kylo Ren and Rey to be romantically involved. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was
dumb as fuck. Like, bruh, I've been beating your ass through the whole movie franchise. I'm like, yo, y'all are sick. This man has literally been harassing her and kicking her ass in all these movies, and you want them to be together? That makes no fucking sense. And then they're like, oh, we want Emperor Palpatine to still be alive. Which, if you look at the comics and the old books and everything like that, he is, still alive because he has clones of himself and he moves his consciousness around or whatever. But I'm like, we didn't really need that. No. But fans wanted it anyway, and they're like, oh, and I want her to be related to Emperor Palpatine. Got all that shit, and still they wanted. Well,
it's really that they wanted fan fiction brought to life. It's like, so and so's this person's granddaughter.
And I'm like, bro, if you had just stayed the course with the movies the way they were going, it would probably end up a lot better than it was. If you wouldn't have been complaining and shit like that. Like, you look back at even the prequels, there were plans and stuff put into place at different times for different storylines that were supposed to transpire in the movie series, but fans were shitting on it so much, they just chopped it off. They just cut it off at the knees. Like Jar Jar Binks is supposed to be a Sith Lord. That was George Lucas's
I agree. That should have been deaded. I agree. That was something that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, facts. But there's a lot. But that was something like they shit on so much. And then when Jar Jar Binks isn't in the second one, they're like, oh, it's a lot better because he's not in it. That
is true.
Attack of the Clones is better. I don't know how you feel about Attack of the Clones, but
it's better than Phantom Menace for sure.
What?
Because I also like the emo Anakin stuff with Padme. I actually like the whole like.
And people shit on Hayden Christensen for his acting and shit like that. But his only crime was he played the character exactly like George Lucas asked him to. Mm-hmm. He was this weird kid who meets the girl of his dreams, and he has to talk to her in this weird way. It's like, you're in my heart, tormenting me. A true weirdo.
Well, I mean, if you were in front of Natalie Portman, I mean, exactly. I can speak for myself. I'd be the same way. Like,
and you look at the way that the character of Anakin Skywalker is built. He played the character perfectly because Anakin Skywalker would have been this weird kid. You're taken from your you're taken from the only parent that you knew because you don't have a father. It's not like even like your father ran out. It's like your father. It's not even like your basically. It wasn't even like your father ran out on you. You don't have a father, and your mother made some bad decisions, so now you're a slave. And then these two people from worlds and shit like that you've never even heard of come to you and tell you, like, yo, we're going to take you away from all this shit. And you're like, yo, can you take my mother? And you're like, nah, we can't take her.
It wasn't a 1-for-1 sale. Sorry about that.
Can you at least free her? Nah, we can't really, this is kind of out of our jurisdiction. So we can't really
funny. Like
slavery is illegal throughout the galaxy, but we can't really set her free.
But their whole they're supposed to be everyone thinks they're supposed to be space cops, but really they're just security guards.
Yeah.
Is the whole thing. They can't really authorize it was and that's the thing about the Avengers when it was oh, they're everyone got upset about oh no, they're heroes. No, really they're government owned. They're financed through the government. They're basically a paramilitary team. So that's why the whole everyone's oh wow, Tony Stark did his people dirty. No, I mean they're speaking to how veterans are treated post-war, and again,
exactly.
Again, he was an employee of the government, and the government fucks everyone over.
Then he says, he tells her, I hate sand. Only someone who has grown up in those conditions gets around a girl and like says some weird shit like that, because you don't know how to interact with people your age, because nobody your age wants to be around you because you're the chosen one based off of what this dead guy said about you when he took you in.
And one, she's already supposed to be older than him. That's like the funny thing.
That shit was always weird. That was always weird to me.
Well, no, like you never had a crush on like an older girl when you were like in middle school?
Yeah, but she never got with me.
Well, yeah, that's I mean, to be fair, like they only get together when he's like grown up. Yeah, like I mean, it's in the same movie, but isn't he already like 16, 17? In Attack of the Clones? Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, in Attack of the Clones, he's like 16 years old.
Yeah, and she's supposed to be like 24, 23.
God, is she really that much older than him?
I think so. It's already supposed to be like she's served her time is again like child empress. Again, interesting.
Queen at like the age of 13. He was like 9 or 10 when she met him on Tatooine. So that sounds about right. Yeah, so
George Lucas was like incest and predatory relationships. That's my shit. Like George R. Martin was like, "Oh, I'll show you. I'm cooking the gas over here. Like,
I'll show you." But he played that character well, and Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I think it's the best one.
Yeah, so he played so you see like the development in the character, because he comes back, he's more confident, but he still has that like kind of like second guessing himself. And when she tells him like, yo, I'm pregnant, in that scene where she tells him, the expressions on his face of like happiness and sadness and like shit like that all at once is better than anything that George Lucas wrote at that time.
Also, it still encaps again the funny like the emo teen young adult phase, or again like the descent into darkness. Again, like it's smart, the whole like, I love this woman so much, I'm having these visions that she's gonna die. What can I do to like protect her? Like that's
and
again
then
like
these assholes on the Jedi Council. He's like, yo, man, somebody I care about is gonna die. They're like, man, fuck that shit.
Like, well, one, you're like, we don't give you're not even supposed to have a wife.
Exactly, like, bro, you're not supposed, and that's some fucked up shit, bro. But
that's the thing where the religious aspect, they're supposed to be like monks. Yeah, it's a whole bunch, about that. I mean, and that's the thing, like when you have franchises like this and Rocky and Fast and the Furious and the Avengers, Star Trek, it tries to put everything involved. And I think that's why most of the time they eat their own tail. It's because they're trying to do this and that and incorporate, where instead of like something like Mission Impossible, what makes that so, or something like James Bond, it just kind of sticks in its own lane. Like the whole point of Daniel Craig's James Bond now is that it's basically rebooted itself to where it has its Blofeld, and everyone's right in speculating, from what I know, that Rami Malek's gonna be Dr. No and this and that. But and they only try to get like extravagant with like the stunts more than like what it's saying. I think that was the whole thing why this last James Bond, like the director left, is like he was going to try to speak on, I think, Brexit or something, and they're like, no, that's a little too much for us. We're really just into like making a spy movie and all that. We're like the last one that he did, it was about drones and how the government spies in order to protect and monitor all that. And the Mission Impossible, same thing. It's really about stunts and the characters compared to like what it speaks to in real life. And it basically, Tom Cruise is like, I know my lane. People already are divisive on me enough. I'm just gonna stick to like, hey, look at me do this dope shit. And they're like, all right, Tom
a lot
Cruise.
of action movies, people like, oh, the action movie sucks because the dialogue. When it comes to action movies, I gotta turn my brain off to some shit.
Certain ones. If they're one-offs, then yeah. But if it again, like, if you'll listen to me and Banks,
if it's
as we go on this fast summer, like the last three really is like, okay, you're infuriating my brain because you're not keeping up with what you've been showing me.
Yeah, like, when it's stuff like that,
how am I supposed to connect all these when you're trying to disconnect it? But something like Banks loves Money Plane. Something like that is that you're supposed to turn your brain off for that to begin with. Again, like a casino on a plane.
Yeah,
I just hate bad movies that are bad on purpose. But like that movie's intention is like it's supposed to be something to enjoy for 2 hours, 90 minutes.
and I feel like there are a lot of people who just like get on that shit and just complain for sake of complaining. Like when the what is the fuck? When Mortal Kombat came out, I knew that movie wasn't going to be everything that people wanted to be. Yeah. I knew, like, you can see like, during the trailer, like, there's not really a story.
Yeah, Banks and I were breaking it down from the start, where I was like, if they did drop a trailer a month and a half, 2 months before the movie was coming out on HBO Max, I'm like, they know this movie's gonna bomb.
Yeah, because they're like, I had coworkers telling me like, oh, you got to pay attention to the story, blah blah blah, and there is no story.
Yeah, and the dialogue again. There was like, quit hating on the dialogue. The dialogue is legit bad. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, don't. Yeah, again, so I know I'm supposed to be like, don't be mad at me for being critical when all you have is like the one Australian guy being like, "Boy, hey, crikey, mate! Like, fucking me over here, fucking me over there, yeah, hey!" It's like, oh my god.
Which is why I did. That's why I chose not to shit on it, because I'm like, I knew it wasn't really gonna be that. I really knew it wasn't gonna be all that, which is why I didn't get my hopes up for it. I had was the second one they released. What is it? Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah.
They said it was worse than that. I'm like, it wasn't that really that good, but it's no way it was worse than that.
I mean, I haven't watched Annihilation in years. I watched it all the time as a kid, but I would say they're basically tied because, and this is what we spoke to earlier. Like, all right, so Mortal Kombat has this rich history of characters, and this movie started on Cole Young, someone who they created from scratch. Like, did you really have to do this? Like, come on. Just to be like he's a descendant of Scorpion. You could have just made him turn into Scorpion. Like, you didn't have to be like he's his own thing.
There's a million things they could have done with that, because I didn't understand that shit going in. I'm like, bro, this is. I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, this is kind of unnecessary. Mm-hmm. There were some cool elements to it in regards, like. And those are far. Like, I like the opening scene. I thought that shit was badass.
Was the thing, like explaining that, and that's again when Banks I review Fast 9. Like, they're explaining the origin story of Dom and Jacob Toretto is the biggest positive of that. One of the biggest positives of that movie, just like how explaining the rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero that goes back years and years when they were alive as beings, not warriors of the undead from the nether realm, all that outworld, etc. But franchises are always tough, especially when it's already based off established IP and what you can pick and choose from. Like, everyone who was mad about WandaVision not being House of M or it not being the same Quicksilver, like I was hoping. No, I liked it too, but I'm saying I was glad it wasn't the same Evan Peters Quicksilver, because I hated those X-Men movies.
Oh,
with the exception of
God.
First Class, but like. The ones where he's
First
in
Class, I liked First Class and Days of Future Past. The rest of it,
no, Days of Future Past is bad. No, it's bad.
I liked it because I liked it probably because I went to see it in theaters when I was like, and I didn't really go see movies in theaters that often, so I was probably hyped for it for that reason.
But I mean,
back on it, I watched it a few years ago. This movie doesn't really hold up.
No, that's it. Every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, this is just really. And I knew it from the start. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what?
Like, every time when Last Stand came out, I loved Last Stand came out, and then I go back and watch it. I'm like, damn, this is not good. Same thing with I take it back. I never liked X-Men Origins Wolverine. When I saw that movie, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this?
Real quick, did you ever see the unfinished version? Like, Banks, you saw the unfinished version like I did, right?
That's the first version I saw, and I was in tears laughing. Same.
But did you see that by chance, Ben?
No, I've just seen it. I wouldn't put myself to watching another version.
There was a leak. It leaked out with like unfinished effects, and it's like pure comedy. Like, you can see the wires on Ryan Reynolds when he flies through the air with the swords, and you see like the plane flying through the air is not fully like CGI yet. It's just like the first sketch. Yeah, it's amazing. What a time.
The only really one that deserved any critical acclaim of those movies was Logan, and that's for a good reason. And I feel like
I've
had
still
they
never
would
seen it since I saw it in the theater. Never run it back.
how like if they would have had their relationship with actually with Disney the way they have it now, it would probably have been a lot better. Even though it's still pretty good. I mean like not in the aspect of them like toning it down, like if you would have been able to use more characters.
I think that's why it works. I think that's why it works so well because it's only really like 5 characters.
Yeah, for sure. I love the inclusion of Patrick Stewart like losing his fucking mind in that movie.
Mm-hmm. No, it's it's James Mangold. I mean, is someone who kind of had this saying for comic book movies, so he wanted to make like the most anti-comic book movie ever. And that's why that means.
It was a Western.
So dark. Yeah, no, again, but I mean, the whole kind of point of like the Logan character is that he's the gunslinger that won't die, etc., and all that. But really, like his whole thing was like, it's not some giant CGI shit show for a fight scene at the end, which like he talked about with Gavin O'Connor. Where I'm like, first of all, Gavin O'Connor, you make your action scenes in your movies are fucking bullshit. So calm the fuck down, all right? When you made The Accountant, like that shit's dark as fuck. I can't see if that's Ben Affleck or the stuntman. So relax.
I probably watched maybe like a good 30 minutes of The Accountant, like the beginning scene when he's a kid and he has like and he's like going off and shit like that. Like that's the shit that I saw, and then I was like, at that point I was like, yo, this movie's not for me.
Yeah. It's something that Ben Affleck wanted to do when he's like, hey, if I'm going to be Batman, I got to try to do something else. And he did 2 things like that didn't work. And it was just like, but real quick before we wrap up, Ben, thanks. We just had Hell in a Cell. Next up is Money in the Bank. And again, these are 2 famous stipulations. I think 2 iconic ones in terms of like historic matches have taken place.
For sure.
But unfortunately, they've been ruined by being turned into full pay-per-views. And kind of like losing that kind of sense of like excitement, like they force rivalries in the Hell in a Cell. Money in the Bank really worked more at WrestleMania because it debuted there, and I think it just is a more fitting thing in terms of
it adds to the excitement.
Yeah, it adds like the WrestleMania mattering, getting a win at WrestleMania matter. I mean,
because they were like, oh, you know what? Since we took out Money in the Bank, let's put in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal to replace it. And
exactly.
It's never measured up to what the Money in the Bank match meant to WrestleMania when they brought it in.
100%. But Banks, I'll let you start. What's your favorite Hell in a Cell and Money in the Bank match?
Hell in a Cell 98 without question. I mean, I've seen death matches.
Yo, what?
Again, this is a McFoley fan, so he loves seeing his man.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So you like to watch McFoley die?
Wait a minute, Davis. You keep failing to realize, Benjamin, that I am 32 years old, almost 33 years old.
No. I'm just saying, you love McFoley, but again, you love that McFoley almost legit died for our entertainment,
bruh. Because it will never be top, and he didn't have to do it.
Fair enough.
Well, hell, Cat, why don't you just go to the top of the cell?
Hey, Cac.
Like, that's a real. Who pitched that to him?
Terry Funk, his best friend.
Terry Funk wanted him to die. Terry Funk was like, I want to be the only hardcore guy living.
Mick Foley tells a story in his book, which I heard from a podcast where they wrote from Mick Foley's book, and they're like Mick Foley's like, we're at Titan Towers in the vault, in the video room we got the tape from the vault from Shawn Michaels Undertaker, and Mick's like, I'm getting anxiety about how am I going to top this match because this is a great match, and like,
Shawn Michaels falls off the side of the cell, right?
Yeah, and Mick Foley's whole thing is like, how are we gonna I'm not like Shawn Michaels, I can't fly all over the place, and Terry Funk's like, what if he throws you off the top? And then Mick Foley's like,
I think I can do it.
Mick Foley's like, I don't want to do it, but fuck it, we'll do it. Like McMahon, fuck it.
Yeah, he was like, I think I can do it.
Like, I understand that mentality because Mick Foley, I think he said this like, yo, Like I'm not a guy who has who likes to be hit and take pain and shit like that. But when that red light comes on, I'll do anything.
But also, like he's famously said that with him having I think a flat back or whatever, like taking bumps is a lot easier for him just based on how he's built. Because again, he's a guy again shockingly tall, 6'2".
You don't think that he's tall? You wouldn't think that he's that tall, probably because right now he probably right now because he has he's hunched over.
Yeah, well, because his body's so broken down. Yeah, and the way he was built, he had basically kind of a solid torso and lower body, but so it's taking punishment in those areas wasn't difficult.
I'm good at it, but it's not something I generally want to do. But I know when it's time to when the red light turns on, the crowd is out there. I know what to do. I understand that.
So Banks, what's your favorite spot from the match specifically? Because again, we all know the iconic ones, but what's your favorite?
That thumbtack, bruh. Like I said, because I think probably not prior to that because I was too young. Because I remember watching that match live, if I'm not mistaken, on the.
I think you've said it before.
Yeah, on the red box. You know what I mean? The cable box with the red numbers on there, the bootleg box. So I remember watching that. And I was looking at that shit even as a shorty, bro, I don't think that was supposed to happen that way. But then years later, no, everything. To this day, I remember just everything in general.
Have you ever landed on thumbtacks before?
No,
fuck no.
Wow. I have I remember one time I was doing something was putting up posters or shit like that.
Oh, I thought you were
I had a bunch of the thumbs. No, never. God, I have trained to wrestle before, but that's another story.
Sort of Banks.
We could talk about that later. Yeah. We can talk about that offline. But what was I saying? I've landed on thumbtacks before by accident. Those shits went through my legs. So whenever I see somebody do a spot like that, I'm like, yo, that shit kind of cringe, makes me cringe.
Yeah, he's done that spot numerous times before, but I think it's at the level of him almost literally either going to die or become paralyzed, being thrown off the cage, to then doing that, to then Undertaker fucking up his foot even more because it was messed up at the time. I think it was broke, and then he messed up even more.
Working on a broken foot or a broken leg or whatever. Yeah, and again,
that's why he has to come back later in the night.
Yeah,
that's why when he jumped from the cage and landed on his foot, you could see him say, "Oh shit."
And the whole point, the Jim Ross call was not the tax. He's legit because he's legit shooting come on like me oh come on.
Yeah, after that table spot, he was like, all right, bro. He said it numerous times the match shouldn't have been over.
Again, that's the famous stop the damn match for the love of God. He's broken in half.
Yeah, he was dead serious.
They took the cell up and Undertaker was still on top of that shit. Yo, what the fuck are y'all doing?
He's like, hey, what the fuck?
That's what he said. I think Undertaker was like, bro, he was still yo, they upping it and I'm still up here. And I can't just jump off. They would have to bring it down.
What the fuck are y'all doing? And it, you start connecting the dots. This was some sketchy shit. No wonder that shit with Owen happened because you motherfuckers can't get on the same. You motherfuckers can't get on the same page. We're gonna do this spot. So why the fuck are you raising the cell with me on top of it?
They didn't. I don't think everybody knew. The bookers didn't know.
No, it's really just because of Vince, the mindset. We gotta do something. Keep the excitement. Keep going.
But it was so fucked up for him. He even said, Mick, I appreciate everything you do, but if you do that again, I'll fire you.
Yeah, but again, that's Cap coming from Vince McMahon, the ultimate
Exactly. He would not have fired him because he says this shit. I've heard this from 3 wrestlers.
He did it 2 years later with Triple H. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, Triple H would have fell through the
breaks
cage.
the ring boards.
Well, Triple H would have fell through the cage.
Triple H would never. First off, Triple H would never have agreed to that, and Vince McMahon would never have allowed him to.
I don't think I should go through the cell. Yeah, because your bot, because you're gonna tear every fucking quad in your fucking leg.
If he didn't he didn't even want to catch RVD when RVD would come out of the ring to him. You think this guy? You think this guy's gonna want to do like a match like that where he's gonna get beat up to the level of the way that Cactus Jack, Mankind, and Foley? Like, there's no fucking way.
I'm just gonna beat you up for 30 minutes.
That's really how it is with literally every Hell in a Cell match that he's been in. It's like
every match.
Every match is like, I'm just gonna beat your ass for 30 minutes, no hope spot.
But see, that's why I like him versus Batista in 05 at Vengeance 2005, my favorite pay-per-view, because Batista beats the shit out of him in that match. Like, he does like the barbed wire chair, the chain, the spine buster, and like the power bomb on the steps. And it has the great promo where Batista's like, I'm gonna kick the devil's ass.
Look at that shit. Like, even like, he took that shit into like the later parts of his career, even because like he was like, oh, this match with the Undertaker, I'm just gonna beat your ass for like 30 minutes.
You're an old man.
I'm like, even though we're not that far apart in age, you're an old man.
Exactly.
Like, bro, you're not that much.
The Bret Hart Shawn Michaels thing, where like Bret Hart Shawn Michaels are a lot closer in age than you think. Where everyone's like the young hot rod, upstart Shawn Michaels. Like, he's only like 5 years younger than Bret Hart. Like,
bro.
But he don't have.
You're probably like, bro. We were in grade school at the same time, bro. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, even then, Bret Hart is more talented than Shawn Michaels.
Well, and no, don't
do that.
And that's the whole thing about like the face of the new generation. It was like Diesel was like, I think Diesel's only 6 years old. Kevin Nash is only 6 years younger than Hulk Hogan. So it's like, I mean, and they were making like Hulk Hogan, that old fart, that old timer. It's like, Kevin Nash isn't a spring chicken. That's always a funny thing about like the age. Like, again, Batista was 36, and they're like, you're the face of the company, the face of the future. It's like, John Cena's legit. Like, I'm 27. Like, I can go for another 10, 15 years.
But the reason why they had to say that because Batista any day could have been his last in pro wrestling at that age, bro.
Yeah.
Now, cut to him being 52 years old, he's one of the best actors out.
Mm-hmm. You cut to him being an actor right now, he's like, yo, I'm not going to be doing this shit for much longer.
I don't think he's going to be doing the physical roles. Like,
no, he already said that. Like, the Drax is the story. He said, this is it. I can't do this shit no more.
But yet he's going to be on that show C with Jason Momoa, and I'm like, God damn! Like, you were making.
He said that he said he doesn't even want to do any movies with. He said he doesn't want to do a movie with The Rock and John Cena.
I don't blame him for that.
He's like, nah.
I don't blame, because again, it's like,
he's an actor.
Yeah, an actor.
Like, what is he played in Blade Runner 20?
An actor.
What was it Blade Runner 2040?
2049, yeah.
2049. He was actually pretty good in that movie. He's probably the best.
Yeah, no, he's legit
like
the best wrestling actor.
He's a really good actor. Yeah, for real. Like, I always say this. I've never seen a Rock movie where I'm like, yo, that was a great movie. Like, that deserves critical acclaim. Like, no, he's the same. He's the Rock. He's the Rock in every movie.
He's not. Again, he's not. No, he's not the Rock. He's Dwayne Johnson. Because the Rock would be something different. He's Dwayne Johnson.
He's Dwayne Johnson. I'm wearing pretty much every movie he's in.
Tan cargo pants, 24/7 in these fucking.
Yo, that would be a good movie. That would be a good movie. Ben and The Rock in a movie. I don't know what the concept would be, but I think it'll work. It'd be like a buddy comedy.
I need him to do a buddy comedy movie with somebody else other than Kevin Hart.
No, I said with you. You gonna take over Kevin Hart's spot. Yeah.
Oh,
both of y'all.
I think Kevin's spot. I'll actually be funny and I'll actually be able to deliver my lines well.
See, I didn't watch that Kevin Hart fatherhood movie, but I think it's funny how this man, notorious for being a terrible husband, constantly cheating on his wife.
Oh, we going to the danger
zone. No.
Yo, for real.
It's like, no, but it's legit. Like, I'm gonna make a movie where I'm a good father at least. Like, I'm raising this daughter by myself. Like, but you're a piece of shit husband in real life. So I'm a good dad.
J. Cole made a song about you being a cheater, and you were like, yo, I'll be in that music video.
And that video is so annoying because he runs back the same line from Think Like a Man, where he's like, the guy in the bathroom was like, go home, and like, it's all right. And he's like, man didn't wash his hands. Like, he ran back that same line a fucking like 8 years later about like this dude touched him in a bathroom without washing his hands after getting
sometimes that just happens. You ever heard Studio 54?
No, I'm saying like Kevin, again, like
I've never let a man put his hands on me in the bathroom. I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, no, we gotta fight. I wash my hands in. I gotta beat your ass outside.
Yeah, bro, I will fuck you up.
It didn't work out well in Mission Impossible.
No, but he washes his hands. Henry Cavill washes his hands in that scene.
Yo, especially during the COVID era, I'm not fighting nobody after they just did whatever in the bathroom.
I seen a motherfucker do that shit when like the COVID was at its height. Guy walks in the bathroom, walks like uses it and walks out, and I'm like.
Yeah, I've seen that at my job too. Where I'm like,
hey, what the? I called him out like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I guess I forgot. Like, yeah, I guess he's black though.
No,
yeah, he definitely said boy then.
This guy at my job was legit. Like, it smells like an AEW fan. So I was like, yep, ain't no fixing that. If I'm like, wash your hands, because like if you're already smelling like that, I've been to wash your hands.
I've been to 2 AEW shows.
Yeah, I heard.
Smell like ass.
We heard it this week. We heard it this week when you said about the
because wrestling doesn't come to this area very often.
Just said it.
I don't give.
This man said he lives in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I don't care. I ain't
like we would have more. Like we would have more wrestling shows, but the mayor of Richmond said he wanted to. He was like, "Yo, I want a new arena. I want a G League team, and it was something else he asked for." And they were like, "Yo, we're Commonwealth. Fuck you. You're not getting any of that shit." He was like, "All right, fine. We're closing down the Coliseum because apparently he has that power."
Y'all not that far from DC, right?
No, that's why I went to DC.
Yeah, he
I will go to DC. I will go to DC wrestling if it's a special event. If it's like a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or something like that, I will not go. I only went to that because it was the first episode ever of AEW.
Yeah, I see. Because you told that story where you went to the first Dynamite and then then you went to Full Gear, right?
Yeah, I went to Full. I went to Full Gear too.
Okay.
Because
listen, man, go watch the Mystics play instead of going to AEW event. Fuck that. I'm going to watch the Mystics.
Yeah.
Then what's your favorite Hell in a Cell match?
Let me see. My favorite Hell in a Cell match would be Undertaker versus Triple H at the end of an era match.
God.
All right, bro. Bonus episode 10 or 11.
You are. I'm going to say this now. You're my guy, but you're never coming back.
I liked it. I liked it
over fucking Phil Brooks. He puts over the Undertaker twice in this goddamn episode. Never again.
I also told you the Undertaker's ring work was overhyped.
You like 35 minutes of chair shots?
At that time, at that mode when I was arrested, I forget how old I was. I was maybe like 13 or something like that. In that mode, I loved like somebody hitting somebody over the head with a chair for like 30 minutes. Like now I can't.
Back. That's all
now I can't. Now I can't watch it. I can't watch somebody doing like a hardcore match for like 30 minutes, something like that. I get bored.
Oh, so you don't watch GCW?
ECW. I haven't watched
GCW. GCW.
Oh, GCW. No. God, no, I don't watch GCW.
You're not a man that goes
like, are you fucking crazy? Like,
right.
I take it back. I take it back. I watch AJ Gray shit.
He throws a fucking lariat. He doesn't throw a clothesline.
That lariat is fucking nasty, bro.
Folding people.
Yeah,
I love that shit. Like I watch that shit for AJ Gray. Other than that, I don't really watch ECW like that.
Yeah, I was watching some highlights the other day, and I text Spanks. I'm like, I'm watching this. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like
in peace to them because they're like they're giving black wrestlers a platform and all that. But
I was watching like an 8 minute YouTube highlight of a show, and I'm like, I was having to take breaks after like every match. So I'm like, God damn, this is hardcore. Like the light tubes, I can only see so much of until I'm like, oh,
I can't. I don't like. I really don't like that style of wrestling. Like,
but see, that's about like
I'm not going to shit on it, but I don't shit on it, but I know like there's a market for it, so I don't really say anything.
Well, that thing Hell in a Cell is supposed to be WWE's version of that, and they toned it down heavily in the PG era. And then lately, they kind of been amping it back up. Again, you see like, oh my God, look at Drew McIntyre. Look at his back. And then you saw, and anytime Sasha Banks been one, it's like, God, like this woman's throwing herself all over the place. Like they're doing
Like I get they're trying to hype it up again. But
yeah,
they're trying to sell red is not special. A good start.
Exactly. And again, the Fiend match really killed it for me with like, I'm not even going to go there, but
the New Day and the Fiend's rise to power was the fans' fault. That's the
yeah,
that was
no,
the fans' fault.
We're not going to spend time on it. We're not going to spend time on it, but New Day Usos really was like, I think the best one in the modern day because they went as far as you could with the restrictions they're given, and also like the storytelling of like it capped off that feud, which took over that entire summer, and like again, every match was great. And they were all on the pre-show until that match, either pre-show or SmackDown. And like they finally got to open a pay-per-view and fucking delivered.
Yeah, facts.
All right, Money in the Bank. Banks, what's your favorite Money in the Bank match? Again, not pay-per-view, the concept, the stipulation match.
I had to really think about this one because I like the one from 2005 in LA at WrestleMania.
That's my
21.
favorite. As I said before, the top
who won that
WrestleMania.
That's the one. That's the one with
Edge.
That's Edge. That's the first ever one.
Okay.
That's when Shawn Michaels shows the fuck out.
Yeah,
when he does he was so good with that ladder spot that they had to like, yo, we have to put this shit in the video game.
That one, everyone, like every ladder, like again the T-bone suplex off the top, the run up the ladder, like you said. And when I found out you could do that in the video game, I was like, oh, I gotta set this up and do it like as soon as I can.
Exactly.
Yes. So what is it?
Let me see.
It's on that one or 2007 in Houston, but I'll probably go with
in Detroit.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry because that was John Cena's
Houston,
Shawn Michaels,
2009. Yeah.
I go with 2005 because last year's I got to watch it again. I actually enjoyed that Money in the Bank match. With the women's and the men's integrated the cinematic style, I actually enjoyed it.
I think the concept worked. I didn't like it, but out of all the cinematic matches they did, besides Firefly Funhouse, that's number 2. Like I said, the Boneyard match sucks. I didn't like Gargano Ciampa the final heartbeat. I think they just did that poorly.
I hate the Redacted Dream versus Adam Cole.
Yeah, the parking lot. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like it. You know what I mean? And Teen Dreams was really, red flag at that point. So I couldn't watch none of that shit. He from DMV, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's from Maryland.
All right, I'm leaving that.
No, don't talk to me. I ain't even...
That's for you, Zell.
Nah, I might be pulling up on them next month, so I ain't got nothing to say.
No, because shouts to Zell, buy more bottles.
Yes, sir. No, you didn't say it properly, Davis. More bottles, 2.
But he had hit me up saying like every time I say 2, he'll like it has him dying. I legit said it like naturally in front of my boss today. I'm like, and then you press F2, and I'm like, what the fuck did I just say? Like,
you about to be from Baltimore soon. Watch.
But what about you, Ben? What's your favorite Money in the Bank ladder match?
The one where RVD won.
That one's got the weirdest roster. They got Bobby Lashley, Ric Flair, Finlay, Matt Hardy, RVD, and is it one other person or is it I think that might be it.
I like it just because RVD won at the end, and what we got,
yeah. I mean, it's the one that set up the best. I mean, obviously besides Edge, but that was again almost a year later with the cash net relationship. But yeah, what in terms of setting something in motion, that Money in the Bank ladder match did what it was supposed to do. And again, it's the only one that actually leads to like someone saying like, you and I are going to have a match at some place where it's going to take place. Like
I'll give you said that was the weirdest one.
RVD said like, I'm going to kick your ass and you're going to know it because it's going to be at one night stand where there's no rules and you're going to fucking die if you win in the parking lot. Like
that shit was hilarious. I love that shit. And then he held the belt for what is it, a week?
No, it was just about over close to a month.
Yeah, like he held both titles, and then
not main event. He had a title defense at Vengeance, and then loses it like 2 weeks later, I think,
to Big Show.
The ECW title. Yeah, he loses. They gift him the ECW title after winning, and then he loses both. He loses the ECW title to Big Show, and then WWE title to Edge in that triple threat match on Raw with John Cena.
Bruh, like all you had to do was not get caught.
But as he
doing
said,
what your character would, doing what your
but
character.
As he said, like I'm gonna fuck up. At least he's honest, and like Banks said, like in terms of being honest, like I'm gonna fuck this shit up. Like you're doing the wrong thing by trying to give me this push. Like I'm fine being in the mid card.
Was he happy in the mid card?
He had just gotten used to it. Like that was the kind of point of that Icons thing. He's like, I liked my spot. Like, I mean, did I ever wish I could have done more? No, because I knew like I either was gonna have it snatched away or I was gonna do something to fuck it up.
He wanted like at that point, like he's like the way a lot of wrestlers are now. Like, yo, I already did. And not even just wrestlers, like artists and shit like that. Like, yo,
complacent.
I did my mixtape with all of my songs and my artwork that I made. Now I'm just ready to make money. Yeah,
Dolph Ziggler right now.
Like Dolph Ziggler. He was like, yo, I did all that shit in OVW. I've had all my greatest matches, and I did like really good shit on SmackDown and shit like that. But now I'm just trying to make money. I don't give a fuck about this
maybe
shit.
Racist or like problematic on Fox News, whatever he's doing. Like,
oh, he's on Fox News?
Hasn't he been?
Oh shit!
I think the whole thing's like he's kind of like something's behind the scenes of him. Like,
you know, there's another guy that's like that. Mr. Kennedy's like that.
Oh, that's not shocking at all. He's from Minnesota.
Yeah, I remember back like maybe in 2007, 2008, they had like the WWE was doing the thing about the election or whatever, and he went to a Republican convention, and back like maybe when he was in TNA, he was also saying some like fucked up shit online.
Yeah. Well, again, the whole thing too was like when the Chris Benoit thing happened, he was like, "Oh yeah, we all do steroids. I mean, we're not anymore, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm not shocked this happened or whatever." And then Vince was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like,
and he's another guy that had the world in his hands.
But really, he didn't deserve it. I mean,
yeah, he's basically a copy and paste of The Rock.
Well, not even that. It was legit, just like, all right, you say your name. And you have like 3-star matches. And you got these shitty tribal tattoos on your back, like your Bart Simpson haircut.
Like that's like outside of like I used to always like when he got cut from WWE, I was mad. When these are all things I look at in hindsight now. Like I was upset. I was like, oh man, they cut him. Oh, he could have been so great. And I go back and I watch his matches, and I'm like, can I really name anything other than his interest with the mic coming down from the ceiling that I actually liked about him? And I'm like, no, I can't. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's always a thing now when people get, well, I mean, we all have the mindset now when people get released of like, oh, this person's going to do better. And then you see them with people in the past. It's like, oh, well, I guess they didn't go on and do, but like you just said, with like when he became Mr. Anderson in TNA, it's like, I guess WWE was right to only push him so far.
Yeah.
Like, and you see again with like, especially AEW with Rusev and all that, like, congrats, you went from the same spot
to the exact same spot
with just a new, yeah. Again, like what I always say, Banks, like I see you getting out, say a word, son, and you going right back in for the same shit. That's AEW.
Right. He in the
like on draft, like they're gonna push on
his first rivalry when he came into the company was like, oh, this is gonna be, you just left a cuck storyline and now you're going right back into one.
Yeah,
because when his wife, what is that guy's name?
Kip Sabian.
When Jim Cornette called his wife a whore on Twitter, it wasn't Kip Sabian. who came to his wife's aid. It was Miro who came to Kip Sabian's wife's aid, which was always weird to me. And then he was like, yo, and when we pull up to your basement, I'm gonna be riding shotgun in the car, or some shit that he quoted Miro's tweet and said. I'm like, bro, you don't realize how stupid you sound right now.
But also,
you're saying some shit, but you're not saying some shit. Yeah, exactly. Like, you should, like, that's the other thing. Like, we've gotten to a point where Jim Cornette's power, it's not like it's the 1980s and he could blackball you from wrestling for the rest of your career. Like, right now, he's just like this old guy who's like, yo, music when I was a kid was so much better, like that. And you're like, no one gives a fuck, old man. Here's that shit.
Yeah. And that's a perfect way to wrap it up. No one gives a fuck about you old men.
Exactly. This young man's world.
Banks is looking at this, hearing this right now, crying.
No, I'm listening to what y'all saying. That's why.
Well, I mean, no, because you're an old man already. So,
right, bro. You're around old men all week, bro.
Exactly.
And Banks was like, yo, I like somebody's lying about their age on the Twitter. When I would post things about Family Matters, I'd post like clips from like these like obscure episodes that nobody knows anything about. And he's like, yo, how do you know these things?
Yeah, I kept saying that like September, October, around there. I said, yo, one of these young niggas is old, bro.
And I get this shit from I hear this shit from CJ. I hear this from CJ and Graham all the time. Like when Paul Mooney died, they were like, I was like, yo, because it fucked me up because I love Paul Mooney. They're like, yo, how old are you?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, bro, how do you know that?
I don't know about
my parents. My parents are like older parents, so that's why.
But I can speak to like having access to the internet, but not having full-time access to the internet. Like, again, like I'm a child where like I was on the internet, but not on it. Like on my dad's, I'd be on it sometimes. It wasn't really until I moved here in 2013, and I was like, oh, so this is what the internet really is. Like, oh shit. Like I only had like
exactly.
So when you're be able to watch again everything and anything at any given time. So you're able to learn more about stuff. But even when I kind of did have some access, it wasn't. I would just read stuff on like Wikipedia all the time. So that's where like, and I had met like wrestling magazines growing up. So that's how I was able to like kind of know about shit that I didn't get to see. But I was like title reigns and this and that. But I know that's the thing. Like because even though Ben's younger than me, which I'm like, holy shit. But when you're a young person, like, how do you know about that? Or like when you don't know, it's also like, well, am I supposed to know about everything, or am I just supposed to know about this one thing that you asked me to know about? Like, yeah. But Ben, where can they follow you on social media? Like I said, I try to plug it right at the beginning. TikTok sensation over here.
Right.
Thank you so much. But you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at _SonOfMars_ If you're on Facebook, join the wrestling group Wrestling's Real Fans Chop Shop, and also follow the Enemies Pod on Twitter.
Yes,
and the Enemies Podcast on Instagram. And
West Coast.
Every Wednesday we do a live show. Thursdays when the audio drops, so look out for that. Also, listen to Two Black Sheep. And everything we get, and everything public, the Sheep Show. Listen to all that, bro.
Yeah, like I was saying when Black Wrestling were on the other day, that grateful for Graham and CJ for coming through, having us different times. But again, Public Enemies and Banks versus Davis, the meme, two arms coming together. But we just had to have you on at some point to discuss all this nerd shit. Because I know, like, Graham when you and CJ will go on tangents again, like the famous Powerline one, where Graham was this, like, enough. Like,
and then about, we were talking about Invincible for like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, too. That's the thing, too. So that's what I always kind of say, like, about in terms of, like, math, is that when Banks and I have had Fam and Cal on, it's for them to come on and discuss shit other than wrestling. Like the nerdy shit, because Matt would be like, "Get out of here with that nerd shit."
It's white noise.
But he's into that shit always throws me off. But he's into that nerd shit too.
Not really. It's just because his son.
I think about Star Wars.
He's being a good father watching Star Wars, and his son and being like, "What the?" And
no,
he was like, "Wait a
minute." He tricked me because he was
right?
in comic book shop, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yo, I was still like that." I don't know any of this shit. I'm like, okay.
"Yeah, I know." But then he'll say something one time like, like that Wolverine. I'm like, "What the? Who is this man?"
Yeah, or he'll quote something from Revenge of the Sith, and I'm like,
"Yeah." No, and he was like, "Wait, you mean to tell me so and so was? Wait, this happened with it?" I'm like, "God." I'm like, "Didn't you see this shit happen live?" But again, to be fair, he isn't into nerds, so like majority of us all. But that's where we try, like I said, have you back on. I mean, have you on in the first place to discuss all the shit that won't fly. But that's a good thing about Public Enemies in general is it's sports, music, movies, wrestling, well-rounded show. Again, where Bret Favre meets Bret Hart, as CJ says.
Yeah.
But thanks, where can they find you? Oh, of course.
Oh no, we appreciate you for coming on. You know what I mean? Everybody, Black Sheep, Public Enemies as well. So we couldn't get you on the Cali episode for obvious reasons, but still.
Yeah, I understood. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, everybody.
Yeah, that was the real.
Then I saw what you guys were talking about. I was like, I don't know a damn thing about California, so I guess that was like a good move.
I mean, you could have done the outsider perspective of like, again, because I know you're a Lakers fan, so you could have done the Lakers are the best thing about California because 16 titles, this and that. But yeah, they have
Other than that, and music, I don't know shit about California.
Yeah. But no, that was the shitty thing. Like, I hope Ben doesn't take this as a sub. Like, yeah,
no.
Like, yeah. Like,
no, I was like,
yeah,
I was like, I would have just sat there for the whole time and just been like,
right. That's why I was like, yeah, bro. That's why I was like, all right, we got to get Ben on because we talking about stuff other than Cali, but
even though there wasn't too some of the choices when it was amazing when we went from Snoop Dogg. I mean, Vince Staples to Snoop Dogg to Ray J. That was amazing. That was like the triple play. That was a triple. Okay, nope. All right. You can find Banks at Banks No Risk 2
the BVD pod.
At the BVD pod. Yeah. We're not bringing up OJ again. It's too much.
Oh, you not white? You OJ? Okay.
No, I'm just saying like word to OJ Simpson.
Two more.
I'm the two more, like academics, like, like get me out of here, like. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Davis aka Drip, Instagram Davis DC, every week at Black Wrestling. But if you want to hear me talk anything other than wrestling, that's where you come here for movies, music. Even some some other types of wrestling, kind of more nostalgic wrestling is what we talk here in general. Is like shit we love, not just like hate on the current product.
Week to week,
because it's so easy to do that. God damn, yeah. It gets old, but it's an easy thing to do. But it's also fun to talk about the shit you love and grew up on.
Big facts.
Even though it's wild in a 2021 vision, even though at the time it was wild, then like the whole like they legit had a storyline where like. One guy's son wasn't his son. It was his best friend's son. And they were like, a ladder match gets the kid. Like, it was crazy then. It's still crazy now.
That's going to be me in the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. And on that note,
yeah.
Ben, thanks
I'll
for coming
around. Anytime.
Everyone stay tuned because Fast Summer continues. Too Fast, Too Furious coming up. Ben, real quick, are you a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise? This is now our running thing. We're like on sneaker shopping. I mean, on Full Size Runners. Like, have you ever resold sneakers? This is our version of that. We're like, do you like the Fast and Furious movies? Silence says no. All right.
I'm very jaded when it comes to that. I'm very jaded when it comes to Fast and Furious movies. The last one I watched was. After the fifth one, I just didn't give a fuck about it.
Okay, fair enough.
You watched Star Wars.
But they did like the I don't give a fuck about Rogue One. I don't give a fuck about the Han Solo movie. I don't give a fuck about there's some other shit they've done that I don't really give a fuck about. I'm just like, I'll watch it, But
yeah, but you over there watching cartoons too, thinking like this shit's the greatest. Like, get the fuck out of here with that Clone Wars shit.
Okay, so I'll just say this:
Clone Wars,
you watch
like,
Rocky.
not, like,
Tricks are for kids. Get the fuck out of here.
Look,
you watch Rocky. If you can watch Rocky, you can watch Fast and Furious.
Rocky, I give you that because I went back and watched Rocky like maybe a couple weeks ago. Rocky 2 is the best one, but you look at some of the Rocky movies and the shit that he says. I've seen Rocky 2.
I've seen Rocky 2. I never wanted to watch it again. I'm like, this is Rocky the most boring shit I've ever seen.
Is the formula for professional wrestling.
No, it's the formula of American white privilege. That's what that shit is.
He gets the
best one's the third one.
The way they kill Apollo Creed off. I always say this. I would have killed Apollo Creed too if I was what's the name of the Russian he fought? I would have killed Apollo Creed too because Apollo Creed, like Ivan Drago. If I was Ivan Drago, I would have killed him too because like, bro, you're dancing to the ring to the most offensive shit to me. And then you get in the ring, and then you get in the ring with me, and you try to dance with me. Like, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you. And the other thing, I would have went up that aisle, I'd have killed James Brown.
Is there nothing? All right, real quick. This is how it went. James Brown being an undercover brother, with and then he takes off the James Brown.
Facts.
But Chris Kattan dancing along with him, like, go, and he's like, no, like, don't.
And I'm like, why the fuck would you? I'm like,
we
why
might
the
have
fuck
to
would
do
you
that.
Give the dumbest motherfucker in the world your towel so you can't lose the fight. Like, bro, you deserve to die.
True. The man had CTE.
Rock is stupid, bro. Like, this man, like, yo, if I was ever in a fight and you see me getting my ass beat, I don't give a fuck if I tell you not to stop. You stop that shit.
Especially when the man next to you is like, throw the damn towel. And he's like,
bro, I've known this man bro, I've trained this man since he was a child, since he was probably a child. This is essentially, he's my son. And you're sitting there letting him die.
That should have been the next Rocky movie, him versus Duke.
Man, if I was Duke, I would have killed Rocky. I'm like, yo, how am I supposed to make money now? Like, bro, this is my meal ticket.
Well, no, he trains Rocky is the thing going forward. Yeah,
I would have trained Rocky. I'd have killed Rocky when I trained him. We would have been doing reps. He would have been lifting weights in the gym. I'd have slammed that shit down on his throat.
No, I say that's why he trains him. He's like, we're not going to do any defense. This man's just going to beat the shit out of you, and you're just going to throw punches back. Like,
yeah, he got rid of Mick. So he got rid of Mick so fast.
You know, Burgess Meredith was a world-class stickman. That's what Sylvester Stallone told Michael Rappaport, that Burgess Meredith was like Mr. Bitches back in the day.
No fucking way.
And that he was flirting with Talia Shire on the set. Like, as an old man, Mickey's like, "Come on, get over here.
Come on over here, get a look
at
piece
of pie." If you're giving up the ass to that man, like, bro, where are your standards?
And then, well, never mind. Have you seen Jack Nicholson?
Bruh, I don't know. Like, what is the name of that movie? If this is as good as it gets, or whatever.
Oh yeah, as good as it gets.
He gets with that. He gets with that. He gets with that woman in that movie. And I said this to my wife when we were watching. I was like, where are her standards? This guy's an asshole. He's homophobic. He's racist. Yep. He's talked to you like a fucking animal, like the entire movie. And you're like, maybe I should get with him. Like,
yeah, it's like
you really don't have any standards.
See, that's a legit movie where men are the prize. But then, as I said things last night, you see a picture, you see what Lala Anthony posted, and you're like, damn, women literally have all the power.
Big facts.
That's a good way to end the show. Peace. Stay tuned.